you know, dynamics.
Alright, guys, we are live, but why I can't see anybody. Oh, I can see you guys now. Alright, guys, we are freaking live. Welcome to the podcast. As usual, we have TJ and me here. We're meant to have, I think, 2, 3 more people. I don't know, they're probably going to join in later on. But today's topic is women are emotional, men are logical. That's what people say. We're going to dive into it today. Let's go. Oh, Lee, how you doing,
Alright, let's
TJ,
go.
man? How you doing, guys?
What's up, Ozone? What's up? What's up?
Guys on Twitch,
Um,
how we doing?
yeah, guys. So we're only two, as you can see today. We're supposed to have other guys, but
Yeah, some guys
they're
already
not
have
here
work.
right now. So
Yeah,
yeah, we just have to walk alone here,
as
as they
usual,
do
guys.
in those squads, as
That's the
usual.
same thing every day. That's the
Um,
same. All right.
yeah. So men are emotional. Sorry, men are logical. Women are emotional. Or
Yeah,
the other? Is it the other way around? Do we? Let's see.
I hear that a lot, and it sounds funny to me. That's why I'm like, okay, we're
Yeah.
going to make this a topic.
And now we need to understand like the actual dynamics, like in this. Apparently, this is like a euphemism, right? That's what it is. A
What's a
euphemism.
euphemism?
If euphemism is basically, let me
I
Google
beg.
that.
Is it ones that are bigger than you? I beg.
Euphemism is basically a mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one considered to be too harsh when referring to something unpleasant. You
Okay.
get so like they're using this apparently, right? This some people think that this euphemism or this statement is used to kind of like invalidate women. That's one that's one side of the argument, right? To say that,
Okay.
oh, because basically like our culture values logic, right?
Mhm.
And since men are more logical, therefore men's way of thinking is more valuable if you think of it that way, right?
Okay.
So then like it's kind of seeing women's emotional thinking as less
Okay.
or as weaker. Do you understand? So some people see it as, a euphemism, basically, that is they're using like they're making it sound good, but it's actually a bad thing. You get like a harsh thing.
Mhm. To say.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, that's one side of the argument, but actually let's expand on that. There are other topics, there are other points
Yeah.
I have here,
Just
but let's expand on that invalidation of women's side. And is this actually a phrase that is used to
that's used
invalidate
to
women's
invalidate
thinking?
women's thinking. Hmm.
Yeah.
In most cases, it is. In most
I had to
cases,
know
it is
that.
like because anytime we watch all these podcasts, you see like let's say Fresh and Fit, right? Anytime the
Yeah.
women start giving up, let's say they ask them for their opinions and stuff like that, and they start listing their own opinions on stuff, and immediately they get cut off with, um, don't try to be, put away your emotions, think logically. You get me? That's what like they always use again. Like put away your emotions, think logically. It's not about what you feel, all that kind of stuff, and they're trying to
Merch.
zero down into like what they perceive is the reality, and they like tying reality to logic, right? They like tying reality only to logic, and sometimes it might not just be logic, but yeah, that's how they attack the women on most of these
I said
podcasts.
30
As
minutes.
you get so okay, is that not so?
No, so said that, yeah, 30
Yeah,
minutes.
that's
Like, we're
fine.
basically going to be, I mean, continue. Well, we'll
Yeah.
still be on, we'll still be
So
on. Yeah.
so most of them attack. They are basically just saying their opinions are kind of not valuable because of they are emotional creatures, more emotional than men. Because I believe both men and women are both emotional creatures. There's nothing we don't do that is not triggered by emotions. If you ask me, we
Even
can
logic itself
yeah,
is
it's
triggered by
triggered through emotions.
emotions.
So it's really a funny take. But yeah, I feel that's what they try to push on. That's the stance they take when they say women are emotional. They're just
Alright,
trying to
alright.
debunk their stuff by saying it's not valuable. That's what I
Yeah,
feel.
that's one side of the argument. Like, and this article, you guys can pull it up as well. They're saying, that's one part. And then the other part I found interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this it says the word hysterical, right?
Yeah.
This is actually an argument. And this word is derived from the Greek hystera, which means the uterus, right? And it was
Nice.
believed that being hysterical was due to a defect in the uterus. Therefore, only women could be hysterical. But
Hmm.
in terms of the logical side, sorry, that's not actually what I wanted to say here. I wrote something somewhere. Yeah, this is what I was saying. So, um, in the 19th century, women were considered prone to a uniquely female problem, hysteria, which I just talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it means like it comes from uterus, and only women have uterus, right? The idea was that women were emotional and unstable and likely to develop behavioral problems, and men couldn't be because they didn't have a uterus. Hysterical women were often treated with hysterectomies or whatever. And
Okay.
then here you can see them doing hysterectomy, whatever. Like, is this is an article here from
What's
Forbes mag.
hysterectomy? What's that?
It's probably the
Like the
it
cure?
comes from hysterical or something. Yes. No, no, no. Well, actually,
Because you know vasectomy is when they cut off like the
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So I was
yeah.
thinking
Fact, fact,
hysterectomy is.
fact,
I thought
fact,
it was like
fact.
maybe
Yeah,
they are
yeah, yeah.
removing their uterus or something. I
Maybe
don't know.
actually. Let me actually. That was actually a smart one. I like that.
I don't know, man.
I actually don't know.
Because these days they be tying tubes down there, so
Probably,
be
probably
something
is.
similar.
Yeah, it is. It's the
It is, eh?
surgical
I
removal of
knew
the
it.
uterus and most likely the cervix.
I knew it.
So that's how they were treated with their what? With their emotional
Whole
problems.
box.
Like, man.
That's wild, though.
Um, in the 20th century, women have largely been excluded from research. Even that used to under, even that used to understand women. Seriously, according to the study authors, this was partly due to the assumption that ovarian hormone fluctuations lead to variation, especially in emotion, that could be experimentally controlled. Thus, hormonal women were just too unpredictable to be studied. So instead of using science to find out if these assumptions about emotions and female hormones were true, researchers simply ignored women and studied men instead.
Hmm.
But anyways, we all know that, my the point I'm trying to make is that we all know that, there are different hormones in men and women, and we
Mm-hmm.
also have some similar hormones as well. But like there are certain hormones that are different, right? I know that like women have certain hormonal um things that men don't have. But that's still not enough to say, oh, because of that, women are more emotional. Okay, fair
Okay.
enough. They might have, for instance, we know women have a cycle and they go on their period and stuff like that, and they tend to be more, react to certain things based on their hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of emotions on its own, like men and women are both emotional. Like that's
Yeah,
so it's
they're
not
definitely
exactly
both
men and women are
emotional.
both emotional. So
Like, are definitely both
this
emotional.
we need to dive into this and
But
debunk this.
yeah,
Oh,
but now
you know,
the question is, so they say men, yeah, men. They say women are emotional, men are logical. So are there women that are logical,
are there men that are
and
emotional?
are there men that are like emotional? I know, like we've already come to the conclusion that yeah, we both agree on this. I don't
Well,
know.
well, it's a stereotype as well. To be honest, like it's kind of a stereotype if we
Mm-hmm.
think of it. Like if we were born and we weren't told this thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, this leads us to another point. This leads us to another point I have because I was watching a video as well, and this guy was talking about. It actually makes so much sense. He was talking about like how it depends on the context,
Mm-hmm.
because context is everything in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he said like in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Men tend to be more logical about their relationships, and women tend to be more emotional, like in the relationship.
In a relationship.
That's what he said, right? In a relationship. But for
Mm-hmm.
instance, say like men are also emotional in other areas like sports and stuff like that. Like things, and it doesn't mean men aren't emotional in relationship. Men are emotional in relationships, but what
Mm-hmm.
he's saying is, you know, in terms of like
Yeah,
when men,
context matters.
yeah, and the context actually matters as well.
Hmm.
So what do you think about that?
In marriages, okay. In
Like in
marriages.
marriages, like
Well,
that's what he said.
if you ask me,
That's this guy's viewpoint
if you ask me that viewpoint, if you ask me, in a
or in
relationship
relationships in general.
might lead to, because I'm thinking of a relationship that the woman is the emotional one, the man is the logical one, meaning they have to always work together to
Mm-hmm.
get stuff done. Like
Mm-hmm.
they literally have to rely on themselves to do to handle a certain part of life, because one is emotional, one is logical, right? And that would most of the times lead to divorces and stuff like that, because human beings are, any little thing they want to stick
Things,
by what
yeah.
they know and stuff like that. So if you ask me, in a marriage, I know the number one driver for like marriages are usually emotions, both from the male and the female side, because you say I love you and stuff like that, and I love you is
Mm,
not,
actually, let's delve into that.
yeah,
Let's delve into that.
I love you and all that doesn't
I think
stem.
okay, if we talk about this, actually kind of like is love and myth as well. We can actually
Yeah.
intertwine this, but
Okay.
I think the love side, and even Myron was saying something like that. Let's delve into
Mhm.
that, like the love side of things, right?
Mhm.
I think this is where we have to talk about unconditional love, idealistic love, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like we know that okay, what do men love for and what do women love for?
Mm.
Like we all know like sex is obviously there, right? That's
Yeah.
like a common denominator. Then there are other things, right? There are other things that actually matter. What do you say again before I go off track? You said something about
I said I
what?
love you, all that. Then we're talking about in the marriage, like one side being emotional and one side being logical might not work
Oh yeah, the
well.
emotional and love
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I think love. There's a logical element to love. I know, like, so there's a difference between like like when you're in love normally, right? Like in terms
Mhm.
of the emotional side, you tend to like just be in love and forget about it. You just want that person, right? So your emotions rule you. I agree with that. But then there's also a logical side to okay, thinking about okay, I know I'm in love right now, but what are the
What are the
what's
things
the end
I'm in
products
love
like?
with?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because like I said,
Do you think like
the
men are more logical in that aspect, or women are more emotional,
no,
or like what do you think?
what I think is men are very aware that there are certain things she loves them for. Like there are certain things their spouse love them for, right? But
Hmm.
women might go on the terms that, oh, he just loves me for me. You get, like, men are more likely to be like, oh, she likes me because I'm charismatic, because I am defined, I take care of myself, I say what I want to say, I speak my mind, right? But on the other hand, the woman might be like, he loves me because he just loves me. Like
Yeah.
she might not really say, oh, he loves me because I'm good looking, I'm feminine. When I talk to him this way, this makes him smile, stuff like that. She might not really see
Mm.
it from that point of view. She might only see it based off, oh, it's just like blind love, right? But men would probably, be more logical sometimes, not every time, like sometimes. I won't say all men, because there's definitely a good percentage of men out there that also like think like the way women think, because I feel it was like a form of programming, right? When we're growing up, all this Cinderella, all this fairy tale stuff, kind of program you to thinking like this is how marriages, relationships are meant to be, so
But in fairness,
you
though,
just be
won't you
hoping.
say like there's like male and female in everyone? Like in every human being, there's a male and female.
I would like to say it that way, but I don't think that's the right way. I would say, for you
Like
to
there's a
be
masculine and feminine.
for you to be a complete human being, right? You have to be in touch with both masculine and feminine, whether it
Yeah.
means understanding it, and at least understanding the dynamics of how it works and using it to your advantage when you need to use it to your advantage, because there are certain times you might lean more to, like, a people want to call it feminine, but yeah, maybe you can lean more to like a more submissive. And sometimes, like, let's say you're in a job like situation, like you have a boss, right? You have to lean more to your like feminine,
Mm.
like what do you call subordinative side of you, where you
Mm-hmm.
just have to bend to the rules. Like, you can't do things your way. It's not your house, right? But when you're in your house, you more in control, and you be like, oh, this is that. Don't do this. These are the rules of the land. You get me? So I feel,
Mm.
yeah, you must have both sides. You can't function properly as a human being if you lack both sides. Check out people that are the toxic people, like people that they call toxic, people that are perceived as, we're not talking about toxic male and other. I'm talking about like people that are bad for like relationships, bad in
Mm.
relationships. Most of those people only see their sexuality, only know how to take care of their own sex, right? They don't care about the other sex. I've seen so many times in podcasts where women are saying, oh, I want a man that is high value, this that, and they tell them stuff they have to be for the high value men to want them, and they're like, hey, if he doesn't want me, like, if he doesn't want me like this, then I don't care,
I
like,
guess, yeah.
you get me. So there's that's where it comes in. Like, you have to have both sides, so you can be properly what fit for a relationship, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But back to topic now. So you skewed into this from what were we saying? Yeah, like the relationship side of things. So yeah, definitely. And if even if we go back to scripture, right, we know like, oh, the man is the head of the home in the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? The woman is the heart of the home.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think the Bible clearly shows us the need for us to be together, like the need for
mhm,
us to be together. Yeah, because if you people think, oh, you can, stay alive in this world, like from when you're born till when you die, without needing the other gender or anything. And if I'm being honest, it's not like you can stay alone without, you can't live without the other gender. It's just things become 10 times harder. Things that you, and I'm talking based off when you become like, let's say 30 plus, 30-year-old plus, right? Things that,
like you're there yet.
yeah, things, I am an old man, no. things, things that ideally, would have been balanced out if you had, a partner in that sense. But because of your, because traits that will make you suitable for a partner, right? Like empathy, like discipline, consistency, all those traits. Whether you get a partner or not, if you lack those traits in life, there will be serious, like, it will be seriously detrimental to your daily life. Like, you'll be lacking in so many fields just because of those skills you failed to build.
Mhm,
You get me? So whether you do it to get a partner or you do it to make waves in your businesses, once you lack those skills, you are definitely going to lack in life in general. So that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. So if you get that partner, and or if you live without that partner, most of the times things are just more difficult. Like, two heads are better than one. You get me? So, and especially a man and a woman, the woman is more, okay. Let's assume the woman is more emotional, like everybody says, right? And the men are more logical, right? It only makes sense for both of them to come together to to form one, because the mixture of the emotional plus the logical will form one whole, like, system that is both considerate, empathetic, and disciplined, consistent, and tackle stuff based off real world situations. You get? So yeah, that's what I
yeah.
feel.
But so in terms of this, like men are logical, women are emotional. Even in, I think this that first point I made originally, like our cultural values like logic, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is very very important because we know that, oh, you even heard terms such as like man, what's that? Man, is it man talking or something?
How is
You
it?
know, there's a phrase like women use, like you stop man talking or something like this. I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
we've heard certain phrases that are referring to men, like
Okay.
when they're talking, because of, oh, men are supposed to be logical, so they have the final say. Even like from fresh and fit, like you're saying, oh, they have the final say in certain things and stuff like that. But in general, I think everybody is logical and everyone is emotional, right? But
Mm-hmm.
men are seen as more logical stereotypically because, especially because of relationship, like they're seen as to be like the rock of the relationship. Like when things go rough, men are supposed to hold their ground no matter what. So that's why they're seen to, they're supposed to hide their emotions or not, show their emotions,
Mm-hmm.
suppress their emotions, right? That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that
Suppress
men don't
this
have
thing.
emotions, right?
Mm.
Like,
Well,
but
in that situation, right? You say men are the what? They're the final say, final. What did you say? What you call them? You said men are something. The final something.
like
They have
they
the
have the
final
final
say.
say
Yes,
most
they have
times,
the
like
final
especially in
say.
a relationship, like they're the head of the home in the Bible, or
Okay,
all that kind of stuff.
think about this now. In a democracy, right? You have the leader, the president, right? Then you have the people, right? Or the government. Sorry, you have the government and you have the people, right? Let's use it like that, right? The
Mhm.
government, fair enough, is the leader, right? But if the government fails to listen to the people it's leading, right, there is no way that relationship is going to
Going to
be
work.
fruitful, right?
Fact.
So because people tend to say, oh, the men are the final say, there's no problem if you're the final, you make the final claim, you make the final decision, if you're listening to the people you're serving, people you're leading, right? If you think you're the leader and you're just going to say one thing and not care about what your followers think, then good luck with that leadership, because it's probably never going to
But okay,
lead to
I have
any.
a counter argument to
Yeah,
that
give
point.
me the counter argument. I'm waiting,
That
man.
the counter argument is
Let's go.
the counter
Let's go.
argument is like there's a president and there's a government. Oh, sorry, there's a government and there's the people, right? There's a
Mhm.
democracy, right? At the end of the day, the president is still going to make the decision, irrespective of
Mhm.
what the people think. I'm not saying obviously if the people say, "Oh, I want good road," he's not going to like
Mhm.
make bad road, go exactly opposite of what the people want, right? But
Mhm.
he's going to do the best, like because he can't. Obviously, he can. You can. I know where it's
You
going.
can't
Like,
please
oh, listen.
everybody. You
Yeah, you
can't
can't please
please
everyone. You
everybody.
can't listen to everyone and do. You have to
Mhm.
make a final decision based on what is best, irrespective of your own thoughts or your spouse's thoughts or anything like that. So you have to make a decision, and that decision is mostly placed on the men in most relationships, right? Because they're seen as like the leader of the relationship or the head it doesn't mean that they like their wives have
Okay.
no
Let me put it like this.
voice.
Is this what you're trying to say? Are you trying to say, okay, in a situation where, you want a quick, sharp decision to be made, right? We know that, okay, the president, or, the,
This
let's,
no soda just joined.
yo,
Or is
somebody's
this
here,
the
man.
guy?
Turn on your
Yeah,
camera.
I made it. What's up?
What's
Hey,
up,
what's
bro?
good,
Can you
bro?
hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
turn on
what's
your
good? What's
Damn,
good?
I
camera.
fucking made it, bro. What's up? Hold
Holy,
on, let me put the
welcome, man.
camera on. Hold
Yeah,
up,
Let's
put the
hold
go,
up,
let's
camera
go,
on, put
let's
the
go.
camera on.
Love that.
hold up.
But
Ah,
yeah,
shit.
That's a
yes.
pistol there.
Just
He's
fucking
holding.
woke up, bro. Just fucking woke up. All right, hold up. Hold
All
up,
right,
hold on.
just take it. Just help, like mute yourself for a while you're getting set, so that we can, I still have
Yeah,
you.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks. So where did we stop? I forgot where we were.
Oh, what were we saying? We're
Because I
saying something
was,
about the
yes, in the
government, like
government,
the
right?
yeah.
So I think what you're trying to say is, in a situation where they have to make a decision fast and act fast, right?
Mm,
Without a doubt, most of the times you expect the men to, be really quick at analyzing the whole situation and putting emotions aside and saying, okay, this is the best route to take, right? But if you're
mm.
having a long-term relationship, right, like government rule for, 4 years, 8 years, right, you have to consistently take feedback from your followers. If you're not taking feedback from your followers and acting, there's going to be a time where the followers will actually become the leaders, because they would riot and start taking over. Like, they start going, like, so many times in history. You've seen coups, you've seen wars, like you've seen people like the French. I can't remember how it went, but the French, they did some, they overthrew
Revolution
their,
actually, yeah.
overthrew
Yeah.
their government and all that stuff. So that's how that happens. And in relationships between a man and a woman, right, the man, yes, is the head of the family, right, but he's not the head of the family because he knows everything, he knows it all.
Because
He's
he
the head
gives
of the
head.
family.
No.
What? He's the head of the family because he's the head of the family because he is the man. I don't know how
He's the
best to
head
put that.
boy.
He's the man, right? And
Oh, yeah.
naturally, God has, like, going back to God, right? The men lead the family, are meant to lead the family, are the head of the family. The women are, the family support, meant to support the husband. In the Bible they
Yeah.
said, men love
The
your
head of the
wives,
home.
women obey your husband. So if we're going back to the Bible, that's the dynamic, and that's what I understand the relationship should
Yeah.
be. And think about it: if the men, right, if the men love their wives, they will do everything. You define love for me the other time. I like the definition. Is love is doing something, doing the best. How do you give me that definition again, TJ?
Um.
You said love
Holy, there's no way I've
is
forgotten. Love is to will the good of the other
will
person.
the good of the other person. So if your husband
Yeah.
is willing the good of you, right, and you are obeying his instruction, then everybody is moving in the right path. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So
Let's go back
that's
on
just what
track
I'm
here.
trying to
Let's
say.
go back on track because
Yeah.
I mean we're talking about men are logical, women are emotional so far in the relationship aspect, right? It's talked about we're talking about relationship, we're still in the context of relationship. And yeah, we can understand the dynamics. Everyone, we all grow up in relationships. We understand the dynamics and we see, okay, this is the role of my dad, this is the role of my mom. Or even if you're in your own relationship, these are the different roles, right?
Yeah.
But now the question is, okay, and we're talking about, having the final say and stuff like this. Now the question is, if there is actually this is actually a good point, because say there's an argument, all right, or there is a discussion and there has to be a decision made, right? Both parties come up with their own ideas, right, or their own conclusions.
Your way of
The
handling it. Okay.
yeah, this is in relation to your point. The final
No, no.
Yo, what's up?
Um,
yo, what's
like,
good? What's good? Let's see
okay,
how
I'm
we do.
here. I'm listening to you. We're not live. We're not live yet, are we?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
live.
we're live, but
We've been
your
live for a while now.
yeah, your I
We
think
are
you're
live.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
you're trying to set up your
we ca-
video. I think it's still messed up or
yeah,
something.
video is bugged,
Yeah,
bro.
No, everything's good. I'm on video, man. What's up?
yeah,
No,
we're
we
good.
can't see you. We can't see you though.
Like your video isn't showing
You
anything
can't
now.
see me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you come.
That's odd. That's odd. Let me leave and come back in.
All right. All right.
Alright,
All right.
All right, guys.
alright.
So,
It's
yeah,
true though.
a little, technical difficulty there, guys. But he'll be back soon.
But yeah, my point is, if there's a conclusion, if both parties say a man has a conclusion, not even in a relationship, let's just say in general, a man has a point of view, a woman has a point of view. Society in general would, I don't know, like this is what I think, but will consider the man's point of view more logical than the woman's point of view. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I do
Like,
not agree with that. Like,
like,
funny enough, when they
actually,
all this.
before you talk, I just want to say something. Like, for instance, like a male pilot and a female pilot, right? I've heard
Mhm.
arguments, right? These are just arguments that, oh, I'd rather have a male pilot over a female pilot
Oh,
because,
okay.
say, in turbulence, like, the female pilot will be more, she won't. And it's not even just like emotional, it's in terms of like strength as well, in terms of like controlling the plane and all that kind of thing, standing your ground and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But carry on.
you're right. You're right in that sense. If you're talking based off who is expected to be more
Stoic.
sophisticated at
Mm-hmm.
their at their field of expertise, right? It's probably the man because the men are more. I don't want to say they are more disciplined, but they are more disciplined. They are more consistent. Actually, I would like to say they are more consistent. They can stick to uncomfortable situations longer than women. That's it. That's a fact. Like men can do the hard work, especially when they don't feel like it, and that's discipline, right? So men are more, I'll close my eyes. I'll work this job. I'll clean up what toilets. I'll clean up toilets, closets for
It's
my
stoicism.
family. They'll do whatever it takes to get a desired outcome. Unlike women that will like not all women, but most of the times women be like, nah, I can't do this. It's too much for me. Let a man come and do all this. I don't want to do this. So in that sense, I think yeah, I agree with that one. I agree with that one. But in a
Yeah.
relationship, like in a relationship, right? Because we're still going to go back to a relationship between one individual and another man and a woman. That's how my relationships are. I
But
don't know if you guys have if you
yeah.
guys do relationships any other way. I don't know. I was between a man and a woman in my own context, right? So if you're having a relationship between a man and a woman, both parties are meant to be striving to understand the other. Both the
Mm-hmm.
woman should be trying to understand the man should be trying to understand the woman. In fact, I prefer both of them already have understanding of what they are getting into before getting into it. Because if you don't know how to take care of a man, what the heck are you getting into a relationship for? If you don't know how to take care of a woman, why the heck are you getting into a relationship for? Right?
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. The whole emotional thing comes back because what you said just now, if you don't know how to take care of one, why you get into a relationship? Because at the end of the day, we know like falling in love,
Mm-hmm.
is your emotions just if you love someone, like
Mm-hmm.
if you're like you might just say, oh, F everything else, I love you, I'm going to
Oh
just do
yeah.
this, yeah.
Yeah.
And then later on you'll be like, oh, why, So that's
Mm-hmm.
like emotions again. And now let's talk about emotions, right? We know that emotions fluctuate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be happy at one moment, you can be sad, like you
True.
can smile, you can frown, like so. But at the end of the day, it's about I think the whole logical thing and the whole stoicism thing is about just holding your ground and saying, okay, irrespective of the situation of how I feel, whether I'm in consolation or in desolation of how I feel now or not, sticking to your decision and saying, okay, this is the decision I've made. And I think commitment is a very important thing in this whole logical and emotional thing. Like
Don't
because
forget in the vow they made, let's say we're talking about marriage. The vow said till till death do us part, right? Meaning till they said for I've forgotten how I've never gotten married,
Till
so I
you're
don't know how it goes.
pumped too. Till you're
For
pumped. When I pump,
they
that's the
said for
GG's, bro.
better, for worse, for richer, for poor. I don't know whether that's a
In
song I'm
sickness
singing.
and in
In
health.
sickness and in health, you get me. So this is basically defining no
Yeah,
matter
this is
the
the vows here.
situation.
In the name of God, I take you, whatever, to be my husband and wife. For better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish until parted by death.
Exactly. So this
Yeah,
is
that's it there.
basically giving you, is basically telling you, this is going to is going to be something that you're going to be consistent with. You're going to keep that consistent page
Mm.
from whenever you guys got married till you die, basically, regardless of the situation, whether you're happy, sad, rich, poor, about to die, or very alive. I don't know. However, you get me. So it still ties back to that consistency. And if we're being honest, both human beings can be consistent. Both male and female can be consistent in a particular, you know, field or something, right? But men, most times, are, strict on. Actually, because they say 80% of divorces are initiated by women, right? And
And we
what
know the reason for that.
and what exactly? The reason for that is what?
The reason for that is because it's mainly, I mean, studies have shown it's mainly financial reasons, right? So,
Financial,
like, for
really?
instance, yeah, for instance, like, a woman would get married to a man, or, like, you know, sleep with a man based on, you know, maybe he might not be as financially stable, or like they might get together, right? And then later on, stuff happens. Maybe, like, because if just think of it, if a woman and a man are married, right, and everything is good,
Mm-hmm.
like, the finances are well, everything is taken care of and everything. There's no other reason, unless she finds someone better. That's the only way a woman will divorce a man, like, or unless she wants to be alone. Just think of it. These are the logical standpoints.
Or
Like,
the
you
man
will leave someone.
cheats.
Yeah, or the man cheat. Okay, yeah, or the man cheats. Yeah, that's another point. Like, of
And
course, or the man
cheating,
cheats.
cheating doesn't necessarily have to be he's sleeping with another woman, right?
Yeah.
He might,
Well,
people.
yeah.
Someone has made this quote. Myron said this before, that when a man
If he
cheats and when
spends
a woman
time,
cheats is different,
yeah, it's
right?
different. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I actually don't agree with that, because cheating is cheating, right? Unfaithfulness is
Mhm.
unfaithfulness. If whether you're texting somebody at night when you're meant to be focusing on me, or you're sleeping with somebody when you're meant to be sleeping with me, right? No matter the context, right? Once the seed of dishonesty and this, lack of, what do you call it, lack of lack of faithfulness has entered the picture, whether it's in text, it's in video, or it's in real life, it is still cheating, whether it's the man or the woman. So that's also something we can't see you, man. We cannot see you. I don't know.
No, I can't
I
see
don't
you,
know if
bro.
you have OBS open anywhere, but if you have OBS open, right, close your
Yeah.
OBS, then you know
Yeah, deactivate your camera.
deactivate
Like,
your
wherever you
camera.
have your camera open, just
Yeah, that
deactivate it.
happens
Like,
sometimes. So you can deact. You're on your phone.
or you're on your
You
phone.
should have no problems then, except you have some applications open that I don't know.
Yeah. Did
We
you allow your camera on
Yeah,
Discord
yeah.
or something? Check all that, settings and stuff like that.
Sorry, guys, some technical difficulties here. Uh, oh, his stuff. He's showing his video is on from the image you sent here. I don't think.
We can't see
Let
it.
me see. Let me see. Shown on. I
Ah,
don't.
so can
I
you
don't think.
click
Wait,
what?
is it from me? Like, is there a way we can disable
No,
his
I don't think
video
it's
and
from
enable
me,
his
bro.
video? I don't think there's
Disable
anything like that.
video.
No,
I just did it, but I still can't see him.
I don't understand why this is happening.
Timeouts.
Hmm. Um, that's strange, honestly.
Timeout CYB. It's just there as an option. That's crazy.
That's tough. Well, I
Yeah,
guess
it's unfortunate,
we'll
bro.
just have your audio then, my guy.
Yeah.
We'll just
So
have you
what are your
speak.
what are your takes
We'll just
on
have you speak, buddy.
this topic here, bro? You can unmute, you can talk,
Yeah, just speak.
contribute here.
Like, you're here already. I don't know.
We're just talking about men, being logical and women are emotional. Men are logical, women are emotional. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
Yes, yeah. Can you guys hear me well?
yeah, we hear
Yeah, we
you.
can hear you.
We hear you.
Okay. All right, perfect. Perfect. 1 second here. This is great. I had my Bluetooth in. Discord is not really how should I say?
Sharp tooth.
It's
Uh,
not discussing. But yeah.
not really good with live streaming in my experience, but that's all right. We'll work with it. All right,
Okay.
loud and clear here. What do I think about men and women being emotional or logical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the answer is quite obvious, you see, and I like how you guys have interesting takes on seeing things that are a bit different than me.
Yeah.
I would, of course, say that women are more emotional than men. The answer is obvious. And the reason for this being is purely evolutionarily psychological. Women do not have the physical capabilities of men in which they are equal to them in that way. And therefore, they have evolved a keen sense of emotional self-awareness and emotional awareness of others. And the purpose of this is to, number one, wage out threats in their environment in the best way that they're capable of doing. Like they have to be able to feel and perceive danger and warn the man they're with, or feel and perceive danger or inconsistencies of a man that they are currently dating, right? To determine whether or not he is a viable partner, or determine the emotional state of the children to determine if they are sick or feeling ill or there is something wrong with them. And also, as you said before, being that men are the head of the household naturally, and the reason, let's be honest, the reason why men are the head of the household is because they're physically superior.
Okay.
In terms of strength, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, someone listening to this is going to say, well, some women are stronger than men, and I will say, well, that's an exception to the rule, not the norm. So I'm not going to even get into that. But in general, like you said, men are the head of the household. The reason why is because men are superior in strength.
Yeah.
Now, when you have a duty of a man to protect or perform, you must be given authority, because responsibility without authority is slavery, right? And this is why the woman is emotional. There's a lot of people in the red pill sphere, or a lot of people in the incel sphere. I would consider myself red pill or in the incel sphere. I would just consider myself scientifically logical, and I'm approaching this from a scientific perspective. It's kind of like a friend told me once. He said, "You don't hate a dog for barking, do you?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, why would you hate a woman for being a woman?" Right? I've also had women look at me when in my past, when I was younger, when I would tell them they're too emotional. I had a girlfriend look at me and say, "Would you like me to be a man? I'm a woman. Yes, I'm emotional. Is that what you want to do? You want to date a man? Then go be gay." And I looked at her and I said, "Wow, that's a level of honesty, that is to be taken into an interesting term there." And you can't hate on women for being emotional. They're going to be emotional. They're hardwired that way. But the area in which emotions become a problem for women, and I really want to mention this last part here, and then I'll let you guys go on your turn, because I'll be done with my little bout. In a society where there is no consequences for women's bad behavior anymore, and in general, there's really no consequences for a lot of people's bad behavior. Back 200 years ago in the Wild West, if somebody was disrespectful, there may have been a shootout or an aggressive, violent confrontation. Back 200 years ago, if a woman got pregnant, there would be the consequences of her having to go through with the pregnancy and having the child. In a world where there is no consequences for women because they are emotional, they will give in to temptation. And this is why I would say that there is definitely a necessity to control women at a certain level. And that is why in the Muslim world and in worlds where there are very strict religious doctrines that put a control or a certain degree of control on women, they have a better society because they're not around messing shit up, right?
Oh, you say
And
Messi? Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you said
and
Messi.
yeah, and
Ronaldo.
faced with the confrontation of temptation, women will always give in. But I'm sure that when you are faced with the confrontation of temptation, you will think logically, is this the right thing? Is it the right thing for my children? Is it the right thing for my family long term? To give into this temptation, what are the consequences? You have to think that way as a man. They don't, because they could just leave and get money from the state. Anyway, there's my take.
Okay. Uzam, I want to go first here.
Yeah, you will.
Um,
I would like to see your videos so much, man. It will be so much better, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, good take. TJ, carry on, man.
Good take.
Just
Good
try
take away.
and fix it. Try and fix the video thing, man. I don't know why, man. It will be so good, bro. But anyway.
But Uzam, on phone, I can see you on phone, right? How do you
On
do your
phone.
stuff? Do you turn off camera? Because remember I said it's on phone.
Yeah, I turned on my. I don't know. Maybe his phone. I don't know. Do you use an iPhone? An iPhone, right? Are you there? Cyber Gorilla. What's your actual name, man?
What's your name? Cyber Gorilla. What's your name?
My name is Jordan.
Yeah,
And,
Jordan.
I only use Android phones. I don't use iPhone because
Okay.
I am an engineer and
Okay.
cybersecurity expert / computer hacker. So,
Yeah, I use Android, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
We both use Android, so I don't know,
Alright.
man. I don't know. Just
Yeah, your camera
just
is
find a way,
unfortunate we
man.
can't see you
Like
here.
go into your
Brian, you're an
settings.
engineer, bro,
Yeah,
you
you're an
know.
engineer. Come on.
Come on,
Go into
brother.
your
We shouldn't be
settings
telling
and,
you
and get your
anything
video
here.
working, man.
That's right. That's right. And I did not look into the permissions for Discord, and I haven't really been on there in this aspect, so I didn't look
Oh,
at it
okay.
before. I will later, though. That's not a
Okay,
problem.
no problem.
Yeah, you
But
can
my
just
take on this, right? I actually found it very interesting what you just said. You said a lot of bro,
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
just
I'm
said a lot
listening.
of things. You went on different tangents and stuff. But it's funny because I'm just looking at. So I was just thinking. You said something about it's obvious, right? Like you use the word obvious a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and that word obvious means something is clear, something is blatant.
Yeah.
Like when we see men, we see logic on their forehead, and when we see women, we see emotional. Like it's written on their forehead. Like,
Mhm.
but I don't think it's like, okay, it's obvious for some, but I can't say you say it's obvious.
No, the
Like,
question for you is what makes it obvious? Like what are you basing this
yeah.
this claim you've made of? Like what's
Before you answer that question, I just want to finish what I'm saying. My main point I wanted to say is just like I just read this article. I was thinking when you said it's obvious, then I started thinking about emotions, like men and women. Like Uzam and I were talking about this. Men and women are human beings, and men and women have emotions, right? So
Yes.
why are women more emotional? Then I'm just reading this thing here. It says women are more emotionally expressive, but not that they experience more emotions than men do. So men and women experience emotions. Like men and women get angry, men and women get happy, men and women smile, men and women laugh, men and women are violent, right?
Yes.
But the expression of the emotion is where the
where
debate
it
lies
differs,
now.
yeah.
You know? So like
Sure. You could say that women express emotions in their actions and their decisions, and that's what I meant. I'm glad that you clarified that further. That brings more specificity to what I am saying and further supports what I'm saying.
Okay.
There's a lot of times as a man where I will ignore my emotions in stoic sense and do what must be done because that is what is expected of a man. For example, I don't feel good today and I go to the gym regardless. But the woman that doesn't feel good lays in bed and eats potato chips that day and some ice cream because they are programmed to seek comfort. And it makes sense that they make emotional decisions because if they were not programmed to seek comfort and make decisions based on their emotions, they would choose a very horrible situation for their children to live in. It is her responsibility to make sure that the environment her children are in are very comfortable. And
yeah, but
therefore, you know what I'm
that
saying?
doesn't mean the argument here is
No,
women are emotional, men are logical, right?
just on
That
his
doesn't mean
point.
women are
I don't
yeah,
want
on
to
your
deviate
point.
from his point.
Yeah,
He said
go,
something
go.
about we are programmed
You're right.
to that women are programmed to seek comfort, right? I think all human beings are programmed to seek comfort. Like the whole dynamic of the world as it's evolved from what it was in like the industrial age to what
I,
it is now has been based off comfort
yeah.
seeking. You know that, right?
That's yeah, that's the problem with men is that we live in a culture now where people have been programmed by the culture and consumerism to seek comfort, even men. And I believe that we're at a point now where most men have evolved the characteristical evolutionary traits of women. They're being feminized and they are thinking, behaving, and making decisions like women too. Because we live in a society where there are no real threats anymore to an individual, and there's no need for people to take risks. They could work at McDonald's their whole life and live in their crappy apartment and never take any risks and be more comfortable than a king was 500 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say most people are emotional now, and that's what frustrates me. However, I would argue that the natural evolutionary state of man is to not make decisions with his emotions, because if he did in the past, he would die. Okay, if there was a bunch of hardened warriors coming for you in your farm in the middle of the night from, say, let's talk about your ancestors. My ancestors were primarily in Europe. Say a rival African tribe was coming to the farm in the middle of the night and they were destroying the village. If you would have made the fear-based decision to flee, then your family and you may die, and so will your children. So
Okay.
you are forced as a man to make non-emotional decisions and ignore the fear and fight and defend your family and the existence of the farm and your village.
But
You see, but
but
that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist anymore.
okay, but those
But
those are actually not. You said they are unemotional decisions, but that's wrong. They are emotional decisions. Decision for a man to decide whether he's going to stand and fight or he's going to run with his wife and children or back to his own comfort zone. They are all still emotional decisions, right? Because fear is an emotion, and fear triggers fear either puts you into fight or flight mode, right? So when fear comes, right, you're either going to fight or you're going to run, right? And it's still emotion. It's still an emotion. It's a chemical. You get this chemical feeling inside, right? So even men that
yeah,
seek what millions of dollars and all that stuff, why are they seeking it? They don't just wake up and say I want $1 million. Like they were not born with that, with that mindset, right? It's based off, oh, I don't like this discomfort I'm feeling. I don't like the fact I can't help my sister that's in pain. She needs this amount of money, or my brother that needs to go to school. I can't fund for, I can't pay their bills and all that because I don't have the money to do that. And that gives me a certain degree of stress, certain degree of lack of, what would you call it, fulfillment, lack of being able to show up for somebody. You get me? So that kind of feeling pushes him to try and get more money and be somebody that could accomplish that for his or her siblings, relatives, or whatnot. So I still don't get, I still don't agree with you when you say like they are unemotional
I
decisions.
don't
You get?
I don't think that we're disagreeing. Hold on.
Oh,
Let
okay.
me make sure that my mic is good. Yeah, I don't think we're disagreeing. I think we're just explaining things in a different way.
Okay.
Um, I totally agree with what you're saying, and this is why I love um, talking to people about these issues, because I don't see discussing these issues as a conflict or a debate. I see them as two people trying to come to how should I say, a more descriptive and valid truth
Mhm.
that is clearer, right? And it
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
clear that based on what you're saying and what I'm trying to say, I believe now that we are able to clarify both perspectives, is that um, it is more likely that men are capable of ignoring their emotions if necessary to make a decision,
Yeah.
and or
I like that.
navigate and and or navigating their emotions to choose the correct emotion when confronted with turmoil. And when women are confronted with turmoil, for example, when they are confronted with that battle-like situation, they are not going to have an easy time. navigating through those emotions and choosing the correct decision, because they are emotional chaos. They are the definition of emotional chaos.
Okay.
And this is why the woman needs the sanctity and the protection and the assurance of the man, because they are naturally chaotic emotional beings.
Okay,
But a man, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
to your
Can I
point,
just
right?
okay,
Real
go ahead.
quickly, right? To your point, you said men are more likely to make the right decision, right, in that particular situation because of men have been built through adversity to tend to make the right decisions, like you said. But if a woman is in a situation,
Yes.
in the same situation, right, why would you consider her decision wrong if she knows she's less physically superior to tackle those situations, and in her own, based off what she has to, like, based off the cards she has been dealt with, the best decision to take is to run. Like, what, you said men would make the best decision, right?
Because I'm telling you right now that most women would still have trouble choosing that. I've seen situations where women were there in those exact situations and they chose to fight and they got their ass handed to them and beat down or killed. Okay,
Okay.
I've experienced women in enough chaotic real life situations to where I've seen them act in ways that either put everybody else at risk, or ways in which they grossly overestimated their physical abilities. You do have to remember, on top of what we're discussing here, we are living in a culture where women are seen in action movies that are 90 pounds flipping over and beating up 220-pound men by the dozen, right? So it's even more concurrent now that women would make these mistakes, and they consistently do. And anytime I've ever been in a chaotic situation with a woman, and I've been in many, because I'm a nomad, I travel. I've traveled the country, the nation with many women. I traveled abroad, and they are the worst creatures to bring with you while traveling, because when they are confronted with a deadly situation or a confrontation, like let's say some crackhead is trying to rob us, or some guy is scoping us out, or whatever, they will act in a way that will exacerbate and make the situation worse. Always.
Again,
Always.
back to what you're saying right now, right? The
Yeah.
action, the expression of their emotion, right? Because again, as I said, I think the whole emotional thing, men and women are emotional. We all agree on that, right? And now it's like, okay, we all, like, I hear what you're saying and I agree with what you're saying about, like, expressing your emotions and how they express their emotions, because, and I think that is also a societal thing as well, and a
It
cultural
is.
thing as well, because at the end of the
It's a
day, right?
combination.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like, these are all stereotypes. At the end of the day, like, if you're a man, right, growing up in a society, you're gonna see that, oh, you're not supposed to, like, you shouldn't be crying in public, you shouldn't be seen crying. It doesn't mean that you can't cry, but you shouldn't be seen crying. Again, that's all expression of emotion. So at the end of the day, in society, right, what we see is just how we express ourselves, right? Do you get what I'm
Yes.
saying? So everything is just the expression of, like, my point is that
Yes.
men and women are equally emotional, right? But it's how is the stoicism, right, that differs, in my opinion, or the expectation of stoicism from men in society differs as well.
Yeah, I advocate men to be as stoic as possible. In fact, I would advocate. I can tell you right now with absolute 100% surety that when you are able to completely detach yourself from all emotions and become like a machine, like a living AI, executing your tasks with no hesitation, you will be more successful than anybody else. And not only that, but you will not hesitate to cut down the competition in front of you and reap all before you and conquer every task in your path. And that
Hmm.
is how I operate as a man, completely detached from most of my emotions. Because when you are choosing the path of an entrepreneur and you're traveling and stuff like I am, there is a whirlwind of emotions happening all the time. And the best way to get what you need and get a task done is to remove your emotions from it, completely detach yourself, and then observe those emotions and determine whether or not they're actually logical and what the purpose of them for existing is. And 9 times out of 10, most of the time when I have an emotional response to something, it's because my body wants me to do the exact opposite than what I'm trying to do, which is achieve. Because the body is programmed to preserve itself, to deter risk at all costs, to tell you, no, don't leave that job. You could starve to death, and then give you a whirlwind of anxiety to keep you at that job for the rest of your life. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. You know some. I don't know if you know like the scriptures, but like you're basically quoting scriptures indirectly, like because I don't know. Saint Paul like says the same thing in the Romans. Like he says like I do what I don't like. I do what I don't want to do, and I don't want to do what I do. But basically, I'm just getting lost in my train of thought now. 1 second. Well, you said something. I was gonna say
Exactly.
something. I was gonna say something. I literally forgot what I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know why I forgot.
You know, you've made a
I'll remember it
a
now.
lot of good points, because I was going to go back to the, because you were saying you're going to detach yourself, you know, to get the you know the most optimal
Results.
results, right? You
Yes.
have to
Yes, the
detach
results,
yourself
yes.
from, you know, all these emotions that come based
Yes.
off chemical reactions from your body, right? Which makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Which makes a lot of sense, right? If you want
Yes.
to get something done, you have to, you know, be very rational at getting it done, because things take steps
Yeah,
and
I remember.
procedures. Like if you want to make an egg, right? You crack the shell, you whisk it in the, you know, bowl. You know, there are steps and procedures, things need to follow before you get a desired outcome, which is what you're saying, right? But then again, you don't
Yes.
forget, you also need to, you need to be aware, in the sense of you need to know what these emotions are. You need to know why they are coming, because in some situations, right, the best move might be to look at why this emotion is here and fix it instead of ignoring it. You know that, right? Because
Yes, exactly.
let's say
Exactly. I 100% agree.
yeah, let
100%.
I can't give you a clear example, but maybe you can help me with that, because most
Oh
people
no,
most
I understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
most people think, oh, if you feel, if you lack, let's say you want more women in your life, right? And
Yes.
you've not been able to achieve that. They feel, instead of, you know, approaching it in a approaching the situation based off, oh, why don't these women want me but I want them, right? Why am I feeling sad that I don't have women around me, instead of normal,
Yes.
instead of approaching that emotion like
Yeah.
that? Some people will
Yeah. You're
block
you're
it.
you're the
Yeah.
reason. Of course, the reason why you're feeling sad if you don't have women around you is because your body's going to make you feel like shit if you haven't given yourself the opportunity to breathe. All these emotions that you experience are there to ensure that you make decisions and actions based on a way that will eventually lead you to an environment where you are prospering and you have more of a likelihood to uh, to to replicate as an organism. Okay,
Yeah.
it is all completely scientific. It is all completely scientific. And if you don't want to be a slave to your emotions, yes, you have to be aware of those emotions first and the reason for them. If you don't want to be a slave to them, this is absolutely correct. You also have to be aware of emotions because other people are emotional, and to deal with these ridiculously weak and feeble-minded people that exist in our society that are underperforming and acting like idiots everywhere, you have to understand emotions and how to circumnavigate them as a threat too, right?
I think
And I
one.
am.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I
You're
was just
good.
gonna say. I think one thing, right, is like
Yeah.
that I'm kind of like trying to get at. There's a common denominator between like emotions, right, and life in general,
Yeah.
right? And the common
Yep.
denominator is like like it fluctuates. So like in life, you are different stages in your life. Like when you're a teenager, when you're an adult, when you're when you're like an old person, right? There's different stages, and emotions also fluctuate, right? And I think the most important
Yeah.
thing that like most of us lack on earth is like commitment and sticking to like being committed to something. Because you said something earlier, I just remembered what I was going to say. You said something earlier about like, you don't you do whatever you like, you hide you don't care about your emotions, like you act irrespective of what you feel,
Nope.
right?
I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't give a shit about my emotions.
Exactly.
I'm like Darth Vader. I'm like Darth Vader over here. I fucking kid you
Like
not.
exactly. So my point is that's because you're committed to something, right? You have a goal, you have a purpose,
Yes.
right? So it's going to
Yes.
my point is like it's going to be very hard to not not to be like you, to be stoic if you don't have a purpose or a commitment, because that is what is driving you to not to be inconsiderate about your emotions, right? That's my point. So I think commitment is very
Yes.
important
And
in every aspect for men and women, like in terms of
yeah,
being logical, because that's the only way you can actually,
Yes.
focus on
And
something.
if your commitment as a man is not to achieve your highest potential as a human being, then your only other commitment that could possibly be there is your commitment to mindless, how should I say, consumerism, to
Hmm.
mindless, grotesque. What is the word for for just grossly uh, and ghastly, just taking on stuff in a disgusting fashion till you are enveloped in complete hedonism, and that
Yeah,
leaves you
hedonism.
down
Yeah, yeah.
to a dark hole of uh, despair,
Kareem,
where
this is not
you
trolling. Sorry, bro. I'm just talking to my chat. Let me
yeah
just mute myself. Sorry, I mute myself on Discord. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah it's you have to have purpose. Now me, I told you, upon meeting you, that I'm not religious at all, right?
yeah.
So um but yet I have purpose, and I want
Okay.
to make it I want to make it known in this podcast that there is a common misconception that people who lack religion or belief in God cannot give themselves a purpose, and I can tell you that I got my purpose from the void.
Wait, did you say you're emotional?
Is
You're sorry. Did you say you're a Christian? Like you're
No, he's not
religious?
religious. He's
Okay, okay,
not.
okay. Sorry. Okay.
No, I'm not. I would have to say that I'm actually a hardcore nihilist. I have
Okay.
embraced existentialism.
Okay.
I have a background in philosophy too,
Okay. Same.
and
I'm also.
I I have philosophically brought myself into the void and embraced cosmic meaninglessness,
Okay.
and I get my purpose from the nothingness from which I believe that I came, and I
Hmm.
believe that I am nothing more than a creative nothingness, and therefore I could be whatever I want to be, and I chosen my purpose is to achieve my highest potential at all costs, to honor the struggles of my ancestors and make my forefathers proud. I'm not against the idea of anything, though. I believe anything is possible. I wouldn't say that I'm an atheist.
Are
I'd
you a
say
rationalist?
absolutely
Are you a
anything is
rationalist?
possible.
Are you a rationalist as well?
A rationalist. What do you mean by that?
Like an internal rationalist. Like you think basically from what I'm hearing is like you think what you know, like whatever you believe is whatever you think is what you believe, like inside
Yes,
your head.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I would have to say that when I look at material reality, I cannot believe anything than what I see and what I can operate from. And
Okay.
even if there is a physical realm, a spiritual realm beyond the one that we exist in, like let's say that there's a God and stuff like that or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot interact with that. It is not affecting me in any kind of visible way that I see. And
Okay.
even if let's say, even if there was a truth that wound up being true, if the truth did not serve me, then I would not adopt it. There's a philosopher by the name of Max Stirner. He is an existential nihilist philosopher, and he said the truth is like when I'm looking at my plate, whether it's a broccoli or a fruit, the truth does not matter. What matters is that what's on my plate benefits me and provides me nutrition.
But there we see you
I
now.
wouldn't
We
keep.
can see you, bro.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
good. Yeah.
You can see me.
Oh
Yeah,
wait,
we
if
can
I
see
turn
you.
off my
All right.
camera, you see him. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I also see him now. I still see him.
So I have to turn
So
off my
so
camera
so
for
I
him to show
so
up.
so I would say that
Raccoon.
I'm willing to
All
adopt
right.
any philosophy or idea I'm willing to adopt,
Can you say that
as
plate
long
thing
as it
again?
provides
Can
utility
you
to
say
me.
that if you see the fruit, you said something like if you see a
If
fruit,
I see,
uh,
okay, yeah, you want me to explain that? Okay,
yeah.
so what I'm saying is that I care about the truth, but I
Hmm.
don't necessarily care about the truth as much as I care about whether the information I have provides me utility. You understand?
Okay.
So in plain terms, simple, I'm a utilitarian. If an idea or an ideology provides utility to me in furthering my goals, then I will adopt it. If a evolutionary aspect or a character trait that I currently have does not provide me utility in my current goal, then I will purge it of myself. Uh, I uh, I live a life in which there is nothing more important than myself and my ambitions. This is how I live, and this is the philosophy I live by, and it has given me the ability to surpass most people. And it also gives me the ability to compete with people on the level that they could not possibly compete upon, because in terms of competition, the line that they will not cross, I will cross. There
So
is
you're
no
kind of
boundaries
like
and no
you're kind
extent.
of like solipsistic then, right? Like you from what I'm hearing, it's like you just think you're kind of like in your own world. From what I'm hearing, like
Yes,
in your own.
yes, I
Okay,
am.
yeah, okay, I understand.
Yes, yes, and the world. It's a world that
Do you
works
believe
for
in
me.
conspiracy theories? Someone in my chat just asked that. Like,
Do I believe in conspiracy theory?
yeah.
What would be a conspiracy theory? Because when you say conspiracy theory, it's a word the government uses a lot to denote the thinking of critical thinkers, right?
Mhm. I guess that's what he's
I
saying.
mean,
Like
it's
he's
very
saying your
obvious
thoughts
that
on 9/11, Holocaust, and all that kind of stuff. That's what he's saying. I know we're going off topic here, but that's from
I
chat.
don't really, I, I don't really develop or care about having opinions on issues that don't affect
Yeah,
me.
I'm going to stay
I'm so
off.
utilitarian. But if you want, but if you would like to know, I do see the state as an obstacle to my autonomy. It is the biggest threat to my autonomy, right? The state and society itself. Society is an obstacle to my autonomy and what I want to do. It's a construct. It doesn't exist. The people in society exist, but society is an idea in our heads, and people blindly obey its rules and conform to its ideals, and it prevents them from doing what they want to do. If people were left unconstrained by anything uh, in this infrastructure, this matrix that we exist in, they would be freed to pursue their highest self. People are afraid of humiliation. They're afraid of being looked at as the other. I'm not afraid of any of these things. I don't, I'm not the kind of person that can be embarrassed. In college, I would say and do things in philosophy class that would have the whole class turn around and look at me and say, nobody likes you here in this class. And my response was, I don't give a shit, because I speak my truth and I live my truth. I don't care.
Again, there
I
we go.
care that I
There we
get
go.
you,
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear. You speak my truth and live my truth.
my truth, my
Exactly.
truth.
So
That's
but
right. That's right.
that's all you like. That's relative. But the truth is not relative. The truth is the truth. You know that, right?
That well, and like I've said before, if the truth poses no utility to me, then I don't care.
Yeah,
I
but
care
it's
about
still the truth, though.
what
Okay, you
poses
don't care, but
utility.
it's still the truth,
Sure,
right? Yeah, but it's still the truth. Okay,
sure,
yeah. I'm just
sure,
saying that
sure,
because the truth,
sure.
there's no such thing as my truth. I mean, there's my truth, but then the truth is the truth. There's objective truth, but you can
Sure,
subjectify it in
yeah.
your own way.
Of course, I am an
Okay.
objectivist. I am an objectivist. I need to clarify that. Yes, there is an objective truth.
Okay.
However, I do believe that we all live in our own little worlds, and the truth is what ultimately benefits us. When you explain to somebody an objective truth, like for example, if you would look at me and say, "Well, the truth is this, Cyber Gorilla," I would say, "Well, you're correct, but that doesn't benefit me, so I'm not going to go that route at this time. But you're right, but I don't give a shit because it doesn't benefit me, so I'm going to choose this instead." But I can simultaneously recognize that there is a truth, and then there is the way that benefits me, and I choose the path that benefits me. You
Okay.
understand? The truth doesn't always benefit you. Uh, truth for what? Truth for who? Truth for people that want to do X. Does that truth help me in this endeavor? Maybe not. Maybe the truth doesn't matter. Maybe what only
Yeah,
matters is what I want to matter for me. Is what really matters. What
I
really
think you're just a
yeah,
solipsism. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, you're a solipsist. Solipsist. Do you know what I'm talking
what
about?
is the
Yeah,
word?
solipsism.
Yeah.
Solipsism. Yeah, that's what you are.
I haven't really explored that area of philosophy.
It's
I've
like
explored a lot of stoicism, a lot of existentialism.
yeah, basically, what the meaning of that is like the quality of being very like self-centered and like thinking that like the self is all that can be known to exist, kind of thing. That's
I,
what.
I
That's what I'm hearing
Yeah,
from you.
that's
That's cool.
definitely awesome, and I would throw in some extreme enlightened egoism in there. Egoism,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe that everybody is primarily egoist. Everybody is innately selfish. There's no such thing as altruism. If you help a homeless man, you did it for yourself. You didn't do it for him. Anybody you've ever helped in your life, you actually did it for yourself. If you help a
Why
homeless
do you
man, did it
believe
make you
that? I actually like this. Actually, why do you think that? Like, why?
cool?
So if you help a
Let's
homeless
debate about
man, you
that.
did it for
Whatever it
yourself.
pays.
Why do you do it for yourself?
Yeah, you feel good
Okay,
about it sometimes.
have you ever gave a homeless man $1?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, did it make you feel good?
of course.
Yeah, it made you feel good. Yeah.
Okay. If it didn't make you feel good, would you do it still?
Yep.
Yes, I
That
would.
was.
Yeah.
I can't show my
Okay.
camera,
Now stop
man.
right there. Now stop right there. Now stop right there. You think you got me now, but I still got you. Hold on. Let me take you further.
All right. Keep
I
going.
like
I don't
this
think
Now,
I
guy.
if
did.
it does, if it
I love this guy.
okay.
Yeah, keep
Now,
going.
if it doesn't make you feel good, then why did you do it? Because why? Because it's the right thing to do, right?
No, because you want your help because you want the best for him. Again, this is where love. I know you might say, "Oh, this actually comes back to wait, hold on. This comes back to
Oh, go
emotions,
ahead.
right? This comes back to our emotions, right? As a
Okay,
Christian, I'm
sure.
a Christian, right? I'll say I did it because I love, like, I want the best for him. I want the best for him, right? I want his good,
Sure.
right? Again,
You want the best for him. Again,
yeah,
you. It's
me,
all
yes,
about you, not
yes,
him. It's not
yes.
about him. It's about you. It's about you.
It's
I
about
love
me, yes, but I'm
that.
doing it for him, though. And the one,
No,
it
you're
can't be
doing it.
not about
No,
me because I'm a
no,
human being. I am
no.
a person. It can't be not
Exactly,
about me.
exactly,
Like,
exactly. And that's what I'm saying is, and that's what I'm saying. Hold it right there. Stop
like
right
what?
there. I gotta identify this moment. You just hit the pin on the needle. Listen. It can't not be about you because you're a human. You cannot remove the aspect of self-interest from any equation in which you interact. So
Fuck.
therefore, there is always a self-interest in any interaction because you're a human, and therefore altruism does not exist because the very definition of altruism is a selfless act. There cannot ever be an act that is completely 100% selfless because there is always a self-interest involved, my friend.
Because there's
You
always a
understand?
self. That's why. It's because there's always a self.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Everyone
yes,
is a
and
self.
for there
There's no
and
self.
for there to be a selfless act, there can't be any act at all because then you yourself cannot exist. You
Exactly.
understand?
Yeah.
Therefore, everybody's innately selfish in some way, and when you
Yeah.
understand this, you're better able to communicate with people because when I communicate with people, I identify what they want. A lot of people aren't self-aware enough to know what they freaking
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts.
So
Facts.
I have to identify it for them, right? I know what I want. I'll tell you what I want. If I'm in a relationship with a woman, I'll put my needs, wants, and expectations on a piece of paper, and I'll be like, "Listen, this is what I want." She'll
Mm.
look at me and say, "That's crazy." I go, "I don't give a shit if it's crazy or not. You give me what I want, or you get lost." It's not about whether it's crazy or whether it's unreasonable. It's about what I want. And
Mm.
if you're gonna get what you want, I'm gonna get what I want. You're gonna get the hell out. Period.
Yeah. So
That's
everyone
how
is
I
selfish.
operate
Like
with
that's the
any
fact.
relationship.
Yeah. That's the fact. Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So
You gotta give people what they want, man.
Yeah, sorry. So I don't know if you've noticed, but anytime I come in, right, your video freezes, right? So so
What?
in case I
That's
come in,
actually.
yeah, in case I come in, just just kind of, I'm going to try and come in
Yo.
strategically when I want to make my
Nah, I
point.
was gonna be
It's the
hacking this
government,
thing.
man. They're trying to stop me. The government's trying to
Nah,
stop
I was
me.
gonna
I'm
be a
going to
hacker, bro.
I'm going to
No,
come in.
I'm kidding.
I'm going
I'm
to
kidding.
come in when I want to make my points, right? So I heard
Yeah,
all
Mm.
you
yeah,
said. I was going to say something about,
yeah.
yeah,
What if I turn
he
mine
was,
off? Wait,
yeah.
if
If
I
you
turn
turn
mine
yours
off,
off,
then
his comes. I think he should come on. Yeah, it's working now.
what? Oh, it's
Yeah.
only two people that
I think
can.
it's only two people that can be on this. I think so. I don't
Maybe
know
you
why.
didn't. Maybe it's your. Maybe
It's the
Oh,
something
server,
by
changed.
right?
by the way, I want to shout out.
Yeah.
If you like the things that I'm saying, check out my website,
Yeah, check him out,
darknimbus.net.
guys. Mm-hmm.
Darknimbus.net. Okay.
Darknimbus.net. Check him out.
Check him out.
Darknimbus.net. It's
a
Darknimbus.net. I
really
live the
dark
Can you
guy.
send
travel
the link?
of
Can you send the link to
I
this?
Yeah,
I
just send a link to the
yeah
Discord.
yeah
Yeah, send the
We'll
link.
do
Yeah.
that for you.
I
Anyway,
will.
yeah, back to what I was saying, because he was making an argument, right? If you give a beggar $1, right? Are you doing it for yourself,
Yeah.
or are you doing it for the beggar, right? So we, without a doubt, the self interest stands. You have to be selfish in some sense, in because in if you ask me, as a human being, if you don't have that ounce of selfishness, you would not be alive today. You have to be a bit selfish to survive, for sure, right? But are you
Exactly.
claiming you are 100% selfish or there is a degree of balance within, because I feel too much of anything is bad. Right? If I'm overly selfish, it's bad. If I am overly loving, it is bad. If I pray too much, it is bad. Too much of anything is bad,
The
right?
Bible says do
So
things in moderation.
I got you there. I
yeah,
got you there. I got you there. I got an
yeah,
answer for that too. So listen to me.
okay,
Um, I would argue,
okay,
okay, this is exactly what I would say. That I would say that it depends on what level of power you have as a human being. For
okay,
example, if you have absolute power and there is nobody that can argue with you, and you have everything you want, and you're completely self-sufficient. Like let's get a fictional character. Like let's imagine again. I love Darth Vader as a character because he's a really close representation of like existentialism and the philosophies that I have myself, right? Nobody can defeat Darth Vader. He doesn't need anybody. Therefore, he doesn't have to give a shit about the self-interest of other people. He has achieved a level in which he is completely 100% self-serving and does not have to give a shit about anybody unless he has to give a shit about them in a way that serves his self again. Okay? Now, I would argue the higher level of power you achieve, the more selfish you can become because the less you need people and the more they need you. There is a power dynamic. It depends on where you are in that power dynamic. I am not on the level of any kind of insanely powerful person. I'm not a billionaire, etc. So therefore, I have to care about the self-interest of other people if I want to derive the maximum utility out of them. Okay, and get what I want. I have to be, and this is what I mean by conscious egoism. Conscious egoism doesn't mean sitting on top of a pile of gold and saying I'm going to take it all for myself and screw everybody else. You can't do that because guess what? If you take all the resources in the town to yourself and sit on top of that fat pile, eventually the town's going to come for you with a bunch of pitchforks, and you know what's going to happen after that. Okay,
exactly.
it's not going to serve your survival. However, let's imagine you were the king of the town,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't matter how many people rivaled against you. You could take all the resources and let them die off. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now you can be completely selfish and
Not
and unobstructed in your selfishness, and that's the
you
problem
you
with
you wouldn't
power,
necessarily,
right?
because you, Dark Vader is a fictional character, so I understand where you're coming from, saying
Sure,
okay, that's your favorite character, right?
sure,
But in the ideal
sure.
world, you can never have 100% power, no matter what you do. You can never have. You can call people like, the president of, well, U.S., president of countries, right? What makes you what makes you think they what sorry, in a
And guys,
situation.
this is why men are logical. Look at
Yeah.
the way the conversation has gone. Like,
Yeah.
Sure. Hold on. I
like
want to
what?
clarify one thing before you move on because I think you don't realize something.
Okay.
Even the fictional character that I've chosen, there is people above him.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, you're correct. There is always a higher level of power. However, I do believe that with eventually, if humanity is left to scientifically advance to the highest degree, that human beings could eventually become living gods, able to manipulate space, matter, and time. And the first human who's able to achieve that through technology will become completely and all powerful, like a
No,
living god.
we
I
already we
completely
already
and hundred
we are
percent disagree with that.
we are
But go ahead.
already, if you ask
This
me,
100% disagree with that.
if you ask me, I consider
I
I
know you
believe
us.
do.
that. I believe that because again, I can understand your perspective because you're somewhat like atheistic, and I'm more like theistic, right? But my the reason
TJ,
I
turn on your
disagree with that.
camera if you're talking. I'll turn off mine.
Okay, yeah. Uh, the reason I disagree with that is because we didn't invent ourselves. Like we don't know how we came to this earth we are. Like it's your parents, but we don't know how the first ever man and woman. Again, we don't unless we go all the way back to like if you believe in evolution and all of that. But we both don't know. We only believe things. We only believe certain theories, but we both don't know 100% um
Sure,
how we came into existence. So we
sure.
can't go into space and time because we didn't create space and time. So I disagree with you on that. Like it's just
Oh,
that's why I
okay.
disagree with you. Like,
Oh, okay. That's I don't think that entails that we can't possibly control uh, space and time, but I do agree with you that um, it's it's unfair to clarify me as atheistic because I am open to the possibility that there is an all-knowing, powerful being.
Oh no,
I'm
because you
open to the
said
No,
possibility.
he
okay,
said
because
he's
you
not
I'm
said
open.
atheist. He said he's not atheist.
okay, okay, okay.
I'm open. I'm open to the possibility of anything, my friend. But however, I'm forced to work within the frame of what I know
Exactly.
because it provides me.
Some connection issues there on his end.
Okay, that's not me, no. Yeah.
No, it's not you. But anyway, he's a really, I love his
Or
takes
going
and
down
stuff.
the route of God again, and this is the thing.
I
Philosophy
love it.
always arguments always lead to God. Like it's just everything always leads down to God. That means God exists.
No, God
Like God
obviously
just came.
exists, man.
God came all the way from flipping men and women logical. God has to exist. Like he
God
just has to
exists,
exist, bro.
man. But
Like I beg.
because he mentioned a lot of points, like I've not even dialed into them. Like, see my sheet of paper, man. I have
Man, so
writings,
many
bro.
points,
Like
chats. The pointing now.
so many, because he was saying stuff
Pointillism.
about power. You can never be powerful without having people you are without having people you
There's a
have power
hierarchy,
over,
man.
right?
Yeah.
You can never be powerful without having people that you have power over. Meaning, power in itself is given to you in some sense. Like, even if you think you took it, you did not take it. It was given to you. Like, think about the let's say Dark Vader. I'm guessing he has, like, like minions and stuff like that that help him, like, destroy places, right? I'm guessing, right? I don't know who Dark Vader is,
I
but I'm
mean,
guessing he has, like, people he controls and all
minions.
that, like
So the
minions, like, you get me, right? If those minions for 1 second said, okay, I'm going to turn against this guy, he might be able to kill a bunch of them, but he might not kill all. He might not kill all. He might actually die killing all. And if he kills all of them, then he loses all power because he has no power to control them. So I don't think you can ever have, like, 100% power ever.
I like this. We have Kareem in chat also, man. Guess what? This guy is actually he has been saying a lot, but he just said we don't know anything till we read about Islam. Kareem, again, you're a 14-year-old boy that needs to like grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, in the next 10 years, come back to me and talk. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
Like you're
but
still you're still
to that
you're still a
point,
boy.
I won't.
Yeah.
You know me, I don't like taking things from a silly boy. Like, I want to be logical with you, Karim.
And
Right?
no, that was my first point. I wanted to well,
No,
go
no,
ahead. I
I
was
know,
going
I
to
know,
say
I
more
know, I
things,
know.
but yeah.
I'm not shitting on TJ, but I'm talking to
Yeah,
Karim
yeah.
directly. Right, Karim, I believe fully, right? If you call yourself an Islamic, worshipper, you believe in the Islamic religion, right?
Yeah, you know more than me,
Islam
Kareem.
is
Alright.
really similar. If you ask me, I have had Islam friends. I have a friend that, Nonso converted from Christianity to Islam,
Yeah, he said
right?
something like yeah.
Good, right? If you're converting from a religion to another religion, first off, most of the times it's either because the religion you were once in was forced onto you by maybe your parents or your guardian, right? Or you were just joining a crowd to feel like you're part of it, right? Because most of the religions, I don't know all the religions, but I've checked out Islamism, I've checked out Christianity, I've checked out I think Buddhism. I've checked out those three. Not too much on Buddhism, but Islam and Christianity, right? They have two
Hey
things
guys,
in
I'm
common.
back.
Yeah,
I
welcome back.
lost
Action,
connection. My
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, just one
Yeah, no
second.
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Islam and Christianity, they have similar things in common, right? Love is
All
still a
right.
theme in both religions.
Yeah,
Love is the
love.
is the main thing in both religion, right? Yes, you guys have set of rules as to how you react to sin, people that commit sin and all that. There might be differences, right? But love is a major theme in both of them. And what is love? If you cannot sit down with someone that has maybe a slight difference in a point of view as to how they live their life or religion or what form or whatever form it comes in, right? I won't call you like an Islamic person or a Christian,
Exactly,
because
Kareem.
you are going against the rules of your religion. You're not actually a Christian, or you're not actually Islamic if you are not abiding by the law of love, right? You feel, oh, I'm not a human being, or I should not be considered, my point should not be considered because I am not Islamic. That alone
That sounds
is,
more cultish, like
yeah, it's like you're in
in
a
a way, like
cult. Like, that's more
yeah.
of a cultish behavior. I don't consider, like, based off what you said, it's clear that you're being forced to be an like to practice Islamism, because Nonso,
Yeah.
on the other hand, when he comes here, if you listen to how he speaks, right? He's clearly had two sides to it, and he's not in it because of, he's not in it. He's not a Muslim, right? Christian
Yeah.
people that, yeah, Muslim. I prefer to say Muslim. He's not a Muslim
Muslim, yeah.
because he's not a Muslim because his parents wanted him to
Right.
be a Muslim, or because the society says Muslim is the best. He's a Muslim because
Yeah.
he saw something in that particular way of worship that he liked. Like me, I say this every time. The way Muslims are together when it comes to like how they worship, I love it. Like Christianity, they'll break off into Catholic, Roman Catholic, I think that's the same thing. Catholic, Apostolic, different branches. Then they will now come and start clashing against each other, saying, "Oh, mine is this, or mine is that." That's the only thing I don't like about all this, like the way Christians do that stuff. Like
But
because
also, I have one question though.
yeah, just let me finish. Let me finish.
What?
Right? Holy, you're such a troll. But Christianity on its
No one
own,
actually has
what is
though. Only.
Christianity? Right. Christianity is being Christ-like, right? And I've forgotten it. What's the meaning of? I don't know what Islamic means. I
To
don't
be
know.
Christ-like,
Yeah,
to
if
love.
Christianity means Christ-like, but for
Yeah,
like
Christ-like.
Muslims,
Yeah.
what is that? I've forgotten what. Maybe their own
I
is
don't know.
Muhammad, I think. But
Yeah, to
but
Muhammad, to
yeah,
follow
you get
Muhammad.
me?
Yeah.
I want to make it. I want to make it known here that I am not against religion, and I
Yeah.
do recognize the
Turn your
benefits
camera on.
that it gives. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm right here. I'm not against
Holy, change
religion.
Oof.
location.
Need set up.
Clean.
I do recognize the benefits that it gives people, and of course, I myself, growing up in a Catholic / Christian combination household, have adopted some of the principles in the scriptures as well. There's nothing wrong with them, and I think that anybody that damns religion or any idea is not expressing an open-minded approach to seeing what and how these ideologies can provide utility to you. So I want to make sure people that in the religious community know that I'm not against them,
Yeah.
and
We're just
and
yeah.
that's
We're
it.
just responding
Yeah.
to a chat. Someone in chat just said something
Yeah.
about Islam, so we're just responding to
Yeah,
him. Yeah.
because if you cannot, live, coexist with another human being because of they have like what God, there's a mismatch in, thinking, in beliefs, right?
Sure.
You are not what you say you are. Like you're just
Yes.
coping, basically. You're just wanting to belong. You want to be viewed, because people have this view of, oh, once I go to church every day, I'm Christian. No, that doesn't make you Christian. That makes you more of a worshiper. That makes you more of a traditional worshiper than a Christian. A Christian is someone that is Christ-like. And what does it mean to be Christ-like? It means you are ever loving. You are more about what can I give to the society, what can I give to people, than what can I take, right? And that's probably the same thing
Sure.
with other religions, right? So Karim, I don't know. I think you should just go and try and understand what's religion you're in, so that you don't come and start making comments like that. You get me? But I might be wrong, but I think you should take a closer look into your religion and
Yeah. So
understand.
Karim, here I can
Yeah.
see you're saying if we want
CJ, turn
to
on your
go
camera
to.
when you speak.
Yeah, you're
Where are you
saying
guys seeing these comments in the Discord
Oh, on
server? Where can I
Twitch.
see
On
them?
no, it's my
Twitch. On
chat.
his
I'm
Twitch.
streaming. Yeah, it's on my Twitch right
TTV.
now.
We're actually
TTV.
streaming on Twitch. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's gonna be
on
some
my
people.
Twitch. Yeah,
There's gonna be
people are
some
there as
people
well.
wondering who the hell I am. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I see.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
Kareem,
see.
I can understand. Look, Kareem, trust me, I understand you, and like I know I've had many Muslim friends in terms of Islam. I know you guys are very strict on unless you don't convert to Islam. Like that's what you're saying here. We're not going to go. You're not going to go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what you believe because that's your religion, and I understand that. But you also have to understand that there's other religions,
And
right?
understand
And
that in Christianity, if you're not baptized, you don't go to heaven. So think about it.
exactly.
If you
So
have
there
all
are
these
other religions,
religions
and you're not the
saying you
only.
can't go to heaven
Yeah,
because of this, like, does it
there are
not make
different
sense that
religions,
does it not make
but
sense
there's
that
only one
everything
truth.
is still
Let's
directed
remember
to one
that. That's
truth?
the whole point.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Is he downing? Is this man downing religion? What is
No,
going on?
he's just no, he's from Egypt, like he's Muslim. So he's just telling us about Islam. Like unless you
Okay.
don't convert to Islam,
Well,
you don't go to heaven. And I'm just explaining to him that
I
there's different. That's
mean
his own
that's
religion.
that's his truth. That's
Yeah,
his
that's his
truth,
truth.
right?
Yeah,
That's his truth, and we have to recognize that some people's truth will put us in direct confrontation with them, and that's why I don't believe in the idea of world peace. It's impossible because we
hmm
truly live in a society of 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 competing powers and competing ideas and ideologies that have a conflict of interest. and it will forever be that way. Even if we colonize the galaxy, humans would form factions and fight against each other in different federations. It will never end, right? And I particularly don't how should I say, side with any nation, idea, or religion, or ideology. I'm sort of, I exist outside the confines of all that, and within my own world, my own ideology that I created for me, that works for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think a lot of people, they're so quick to follow something or grab onto something.
Yeah.
Why can't you, as an individual, the people who are in the chat, why can't you, as an individual, instead of grabbing onto an ideology or an idea or a group of people or siding yourself with somebody, why can't you walk your own path and think your own way and develop your own philosophy that is uniquely catered to you and live life on your terms? Why can't a lot of people do that? That's what I do. And that's why I derive the maximum benefit from my existence.
But the only,
You understand?
like, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that perspective, but it's kind of like reinventing the wheel if you think of it. Like, that's how I think of it, because we know that, we know, like, we have so much knowledge from centuries before us, right? And as human beings, we all,
Sure.
Descartes, I think therefore I am. We know that we're constantly thinking, right? We're thinking beings, and we will always
Very
keep
familiar with
thinking.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like,
Sure.
yeah, again, what you're saying, like, I understand it. Although I wouldn't really, I'd rather have, I'd rather go with, like, the knowledge from before, and, because I have my own beliefs again, and that's my beliefs. I'd
But
rather go with,
because the knowledge,
yeah,
because the knowledge from beforehand is tried, tested, and true, so you
exactly.
can
Try
have
to think it
confidence
true.
in it,
Yeah, I
right?
can have
I
confidence.
I,
Yeah.
under, I understand that, and I'm not saying throw away old knowledge. I'm saying remove yourself from the picture and see things from a third person view, because it will allow you to make a better choice
Yeah.
in what you want to believe and what you want to adopt. Right? It's kind of like how we talked before, removing yourself from your emotions and observing your emotions while you're experiencing them, and achieving that. I know for a fact, guys, that by talking to you, the both of you have achieved a level of consciousness and self-awareness that most people in society do not achieve, and we have to keep that in mind while discussing these concepts. Is that both of you have done a serious amount of self-reflection and self-discovery to even achieve comprehending and existing in this conversation right now.
Mm.
And I think that because that we have achieved that level, we will be quick to judge people according to our own standards, and we have to remember that the three of us are not the norm of what can be achieved as far as self-conscious awareness is,
Yeah.
right? So we have to be careful how we judge those people in the chat, because they may be going on their own journey of self-discovery, and they may have not achieved the level of awareness and knowledge that you have, which allows you to develop
Show
a
your camera.
very,
Show your camera.
Okay.
huh?
Yeah, yeah, we're
No, no,
with you.
sorry, sorry,
We're
sorry.
with you.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
basically
So
saying,
yeah,
like Karim in that situation, it's clear he's a young guy. Like I said, he's a young guy. He's just how 14 or something. He's a really
of
young
course.
guy, so that's why he can come in and make such comments. And I that's why when TJ
Yes.
said he's young, I was just padding off the point of him being young and explaining why he has that take because of he's young and he has just not he doesn't
It's
have
funny.
that.
You take me back. You take me back to the day when my grandfather used to look at me, and my father used to look at me, and he said, "You don't know. You're not old enough." And I said, "What the hell do you know? I'm a grown man," and I was like 18, right?
Yep.
And now that I'm older, I realize I didn't know shit. I
Yep.
didn't know shit. I
Yep.
didn't know jack shit,
That's
right?
it.
And that's just you got that's it, man. You got to grow older to know that. And
Hmm.
and and
Because recently, like,
that's why I'm not.
yeah, I had this
Go ahead.
conversation. Like, I know this is kind of off topic, but just for the chat, like, just for Karen, right? I had this conversation with my mom. Like, this was maybe like 2 days ago. TJ, your camera, turn it back on. I had this conversation 2 days. I think it was 2, 3 days ago, right? This was about like my what do you call it? My you know, are we all in this? That's good.
Yeah, we're all in.
That's
But he's not
nice.
moving. We can just see his camera though.
I
Like,
saw
he's
I
not
saw him
moving.
moving, but just now, but he just
No,
stopped
he's not.
moving.
He's not.
But
Yeah.
anyway, I had this. My mom called me. It was a Sunday afternoon. I went out with I was in Calgary. I went out with my guys, and his sister, right? So she called me, had a chit chat. She was like, "Oh," after she got to a point, she was like, "Oh, did I go to church today?" And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't go to church today." And she's like, "Why didn't I go to church today?" I'm like, "I just didn't go to church. Like, I didn't make any reason. There was no reason. I had a choice to go to church, and I didn't go to church today." And she's like, she gets so angry. She's like, "Why are you not going to church? How do that? Regular, Christian homes, Christian values, kind of conversation and all that." And I tell her, you know that Christianity isn't about going to church, right? It is about being Christ-like. It's about serving God, right? So, me not going to church doesn't necessarily make me less of a Christian, right? Maybe it makes me it might leave more room for temptation, because if you're in the church and you're actually in the church practicing and trying to be godlike, right? If you're doing things that keep you close to God, right? I'm not saying I stop praying and all that, but going to the church, in my belief, is like the highest form of prayer or reverence, because you're kind of feeling, you're in the
Yeah.
presence of that thing, of God
No, it's not
himself,
even just that. It's not even just
right?
that. It's also like a commandment that God said. Like
Mm,
God said, like love God. Jesus Christ said, like you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, might,
mm,
and soul. And what does that mean? That means like justice, doing justice to your religion.
mm-hmm,
And then he also said you must love your neighbor as yourself. Like those are the two commandments Christ said.
mm-hmm.
But can I just ask, what day was this? Was this like
No, this
on
was
Sunday?
on Sunday itself, on
Okay,
Sunday
I can
itself.
understand why she said that, because like
Yeah.
Sunday is also a holy day of obligation.
Yeah,
Not
she
even
said, no,
about
she
like,
said it's a holiday, and now
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where I
yeah.
come in. That's why I come in. Like, this holy day of obligation thing, right? It is for Catholics, true or false?
Yeah, it's for like, yeah, it's for
It's for
Catholics, true.
Catholics,
Yeah.
to be specific, right? And she comes, she's telling me, "Oh, it's a holy day of obligation. You're a Catholic," and I was like, "I'm a Christian. I understand. Yeah, I was raised in a Catholic family, but I am a Christian. I am Catholic, and I'm not saying I'm not. I won't say, oh, I'm not a Catholic, because I've gone down the path of baptism, all that stuff, like confirmation. I receive communion. I go for confession. I 100% believe in. I like the way Catholics live. I love mass over any form of Christian celebration, right? But I am Christian, if anything, right? So, she was trying to base that off, that was her argument, basically, like it's a day of obligation and all that. But I came to an understanding on my own after, weighing this thing, like, okay, I'm a Catholic, or I'm Pentecostal, or this, or I'm Christian, I'm Christ-like. That's how I view life. Like, I'm Christ-like, and I try my best. Like, if I can be honest with you guys, like, looking back at my days in Nigeria and my days here, Nigeria gave me the opportunity to be very like close to the church and all that, because my parents would go to church every time, or I'll be in school where we have masses, like we have mass in school, it was a Catholic school and all that, right? But here gave me the opportunity to actually, and I won't say I was not actually Christian, but here shows, this place like
You
puts
have a
me,
choice.
yeah, it's like, yeah, you kind of have to understand stuff and be more rational with your decision, because if you're going to walk the winter to go to church because you're a Christian, and you get a cold and you die, you don't die on the way because of cold, but
You
you
get
get what I'm saying.
knocked.
You get,
Holy.
like, because of it's cold and you're not making rational decisions. Then I don't think God will be happy with that, because you God said He's everywhere. You
Oh
can
my,
serve Him
smiling. Oh.
everywhere. You get me? So why would you kill? So
I have an
yeah.
interesting question to ask you
Yeah.
when you're done with that. I have an interesting question to ask you.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I was just saying, like, so I told her, like, she at the end of the day, we ended up going off on this,
Yeah,
I
this
on
tangent.
this tangent,
Karim.
I'm my mom.
It's always Karim's
But I
fault, man.
understood exactly where she was coming from, because she was raised with those values and has lived her life based off those values. So she's, viewing my decisions based off what she knows, which is fair, and I totally understood it. But the reason why she was so hot with me was because she didn't really want to sit down and listen to my take as to why, or listen to why I made that decision, which
Then
led
get
to
rid of
that.
her and get a new woman. Get
That's
rid of
my
her and get
mom.
a woman
That's
that
my mom.
just get. Oh shit. Okay. Well.
That's my mom.
Damn.
Okay.
Well, listen, man. I've had my. I listen. I.
Wait, TJ,
Holy.
I'll turn off my. I'll turn off my. I'll turn off my.
Listen.
Yeah.
I've had my own conflicts with my own mother.
Yeah.
She's dead now. She died
Yeah.
of brain cancer.
God rest
Rest
her
in
soul.
peace.
Um,
Rest in peace. The
yeah,
200 pounds.
my father's
Holy.
dead too.
The 200
Most of my
pounds.
family is dead. I'm
Holy.
but
Wait, were
I
they
would
knocked?
say you have to understand that there is a struggle. There is a struggle within your mother. She wants the best for you, and in her mind, the best for you is the way that she believes, right?
Yep.
But it's still okay for you to go on your own path as a man and say, Mom, listen, I'm my own man. I understand what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and God bless you, Mom, and I love you and all this, but I have my own way, and this is where we
Precisely.
disagree. And some people can't do that with their parents and still love them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's unfortunate,
Yeah.
right? And for some people, their parents cannot deal with the fact that their children are choosing a path that they rather not see, and we have to keep in mind that our children are not our property. They are individuals that think and perceive on their own, right?
True.
So your mom either realizes that or she doesn't, and it's not up to you to force her to realize it or
Of
accept
course. Of course. Of course.
it.
But yeah, we've gone a bit
Yeah,
off
so
tangent.
back to topic.
Let's
Yeah,
get
let's
back on it.
just we
TJ,
need to
turn on
kind of
your
like
camera.
round up as well.
Let's
Yeah, so
get up to date here.
on the whole podcast, like, are
I need to
men
fix. I
logical,
think after
are
this,
women
I'm
emotional?
going to look at the server and see why we can't have more than.
Yeah, something is wrong
Yeah,
with the server.
it's
Also.
either
Is this the actual server, right?
Yeah, this is the actual server we always do our podcast on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's saying unstable internet connection on a lot of your guys' little icons
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Well, one of you before said the old ways are the tried, tested, and true ways. Well, I know for a fact that living in Nigeria, Christianity was not the original religion of your people.
Mm-hmm.
So if the old ways are the best ways, then why don't you go back to the religion of your people?
Okay, and my answer to that will be the religion I have right now, right, or the religion that was is actually the Irish missionaries that came over to Nigeria, and you know most of them passed on the Catholic faith there.
My people
Oh,
gave
you're
you your
Irish as well.
religion.
You're Irish.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah, nice. I'm actually Irish as well. Although we're not the
All right.
same, but I'm Irish. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. So the reason I believe in and I'm Catholic, and the reason I'm still Catholic today is because I've done my own. Again, it all comes down to what you're saying: self-interest and selfishness, right? I've grown
There
up
you go. I wanted you to say it. I just wanted you to prove
exactly.
me right.
Yeah,
Utility,
exactly. No, I agree with you.
utility.
Like
Yeah,
exactly,
I agree.
utility.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
So
Yeah.
exactly.
okay.
So if
So
you do your
then
research,
the old way isn't the
yeah.
best way. You reinvented the wheel, my friend. You said let's not
No,
reinvent the wheel, but you
no.
reinvented the wheel.
No. My point is, I'm not saying when I say the old way, there are different old ways. Like,
Okay.
so that, say
There's
for instance,
different old ways.
yeah, there is. Like,
Oh,
for instance, the African religion was an old way for the African tribe, right? The Catholic
okay.
tradition is an old way for different. It's still an old way. My point is, pick an old path and do your research, and then don't try and
Sure.
reinvent the wheel yourself. That's my own. That's all I'm saying. Because reinventing the wheel, no one is like greater than everyone. That's how I see life. Like I believe every human being is a god. Like every human being has rational, like is rational and can
And
think
can
and can make
create.
something up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and can create. Every human being is innovative, right? But
We could look at it at a religion that created itself, like Scientology. They reinvented the wheel and it works for them, right? I
yeah,
don't follow that shit, but it works for them. They reinvented the wheel. They created a new religion.
yeah.
So and before Christianity, the people that you're talking about that gave you Christianity, my ancestors, they were druids, right?
The
And
druids, yeah,
pagans.
I know about them.
And
Yeah, yeah,
pagans.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there are some people I've met that there is actually a huge wave, a huge influx of people adopting druidism and paganism now. It's very interesting.
Yeah, but my point
And
is
the you know,
there are things beyond there are things beyond human power. That's my whole point. There are things beyond that there are things
sure,
beyond us, like even science can't solve, and
sure,
that's just my point. So I just think that it's
yeah,
very important
yeah.
to be aware of all these things, and knowledge is
It
power.
makes me it makes me very angry that there are things beyond my understanding. There's an entire
Yeah,
universe that I can't
there's
see,
a mystery,
and
like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
It's
unfortunate,
it's it's it is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
It makes me fueled to my core that I can't know everything.
But control your emotions. Control your
Yeah.
emotions, my
Control your
friend.
emotions.
I do, I do, I do. I channel it into lifting weights at the gym.
I like
There you
that.
go.
Okay.
Right,
Show us the guns. Show us the
making money.
guns.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back
So
to the topic, so we can really, we
Yeah,
didn't
Uzan,
have
back to
you,
the
we
topic.
didn't have you,
Show your mic, show your cam,
yeah,
show
we
your
didn't
cam.
have you. This
You're
showing of
right.
cam thing is getting ridiculous though. But anyway, we'll fix that. We'll
Switch
fix that for
cams,
the next.
holy.
I
Holy
think we might
yet.
have to use a new
sure.
service. Like we'll get a new service instead of Discord. We'll find something that can take like more than, because I don't know why Discord is doing this. Maybe there's a Discord thing. Maybe we'll use Zoom next time. But anyway,
Yeah, I think
um,
Zoom is
yeah,
more
yeah, I
stable.
think we'll use Zoom next time. But yeah, so the topic was women are emotional, men are logical, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, just final touches. Because from the conclusion of I can draw from this whole discussion, we've agreed that men are women are emotional, right? And men are also emotional. We agreed on that, right? Because emotion drive human beings, right? Emotions drive human beings. But we nobody ever touched on logical. Like men are logical, yeah, they're more logical. But are women logical? Are women logical? Yeah. So
I think that
TJ,
women can be
turn
logical
on your
if
camera,
they
please.
want to be.
Is that what?
When yeah, I'm on camera.
Yeah. So you said sorry, your take.
I said that women can be logical if they want to be. It's Have you ever met a woman who behaves very masculine like?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, it's very interesting that the more masculine a woman is, the more logical she acts and behaves.
True.
It's very interesting,
yeah,
right? Um, and
Ooh.
and
yeah. Because like,
uh,
yeah, that's actually good points. A
Ooh.
good point. Yeah.
That's a good
now,
point.
now, 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 this is what I would like to say about that. Now we have our evolutionary psychology, our natural programming, and I
Mhm.
believe that the natural programming of men and women is for women to be very emotionally chaotic and not as emotionally stable as men are, right?
Mhm.
However, because we are conscious human beings and we are capable of the intelligence to think ourselves past even our own evolutionary enslavement, we can choose to be a different way. And I have met plenty of women that are extremely logical, um, to an incredible point, right? And I see this a lot in my field of engineering. Particularly, I had a career in cybersecurity engineering, and the women who were involved in cybersecurity were incredibly just cutthroat logical, like a knife. It was really odd to see women act that way, and that's when I realized that regardless of how you naturally are, you can pick and choose and decide how you want to be. You
Mhm.
have the free will to do that if you want to,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about the norm here. I believe we're talking about the norm,
The
and we're
norm.
saying
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and I would say the norm is that yes, men are more logical than women, and it's just a perpetuation of our biological natural programming, that in these chaotic situations that we agreed upon, that women are going to have a lot harder time emotionally stabilizing themselves in those situations. Not to say that men are not emotional, because we are all emotional creatures, but I believe that as men, we are naturally more capable of working through and sifting through and analyzing those emotions in a way that allows us to provide more utility in the material world that we exist in. But
Yeah.
I will say the current culture that we are existing in is pulling men away from that stoicism,
Yeah.
right?
Just to touch
And
on what you said,
and
like the logical side of men, I think also to just to back up what you said, I think that's also due to the fact that men are like in a relationship, right? Men are seen as the head of the relationship, so they have to be more
yes,
logical in that sense to make, like in terms of decision making. It's not that women also make decisions and they're also logical, right? But in
yeah,
terms of like being in a relationship, I think that's the whole, because like Uzum and I talked about context. The difference in context is very important in terms of this conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are men more logical in what's it called in a relationship, or are men more logical in sports, or are men more logical in said areas, or are women more emotional in said areas, right? The context also
It's true.
matters a lot.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Because you can't just say in general. Do
um,
you understand what I'm
I,
saying?
I I I think we can solve this with a simple question. Um, would you leave it to the responsibility of a woman to be in charge of the nuclear armaments of your country and to decide whether upon to launch those nukes? Do you
Exactly.
think that'd be a good
Obviously,
idea?
no,
Do you
obviously
think?
not.
Do you
Obviously
think?
not. Like,
No,
Hmm.
no, because we don't want some woman PMSing and launching nukes and ending the world, right?
yeah.
So
No,
there you have it. And then
but
there will be people who call me misogynist for that, and I'll say what Andrew Tate says: the truth is misogynistic.
okay, hold
Sorry,
on.
I'm
Misogyny.
sorry.
One sec.
Only.
Let me just say something. So,
Right.
All
in
right.
that
Let's see.
situation, no, in that situation, right? You said, would you leave the nuclear, the firepower
Misogyny.
to a woman, right? So, my answer to
Yeah.
that is, you would want, right? You would actually want the person in control of all that to be the most stoic person in the world, right? Or at least have the highest
Oh
stoicism
God,
level.
yes.
Right? Exactly.
God,
And
yes, yes,
based off statistics, or based off what the society perceives, right, men are most likely more stoic than women, right? So that is why you would
yes,
suggest a man, because if it's not a stoic man you're
yes.
putting in power, it's still going to end up the same way if you put a woman that is also not stoic. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah. We don't
I
need an
think
overly passionate, emotional person
Ex-
controlling our nukes.
exactly. So
Definitely
I
not.
think it's not. That's why I was going to ask you before TJ landed. I was going to ask you, what does it actually mean to be masculine or feminine? Because everyone keeps saying, oh, he has masculine. This is you're acting more masculine or acting more feminine, right? What does it mean to be masculine or feminine? Because if we tie it down to those actual traits that make you masculine or feminine, right, you would realize that anybody, depending on the situation, you would have to have some of those qualities to be able to thrive in a situation, in a particular situation, right?
Well, well. First, before we have this discussion, I want to lay out some underlying points that I think is necessary.
Yeah.
Um, when you use those words, masculine and feminine, I think that some of masculinity and femininity is a social construct, and some of it is evolutionary, biological, ingrained behaviors. Okay.
Okay.
For example, when humans are tiny little beings, little toddlers, we can see evidence that the boys are more aggressive and more are likely to engage in rough and tumble play. Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is evidence that there is an ingrained masculinity and femininity in us. And then
Mm-hmm.
we could say things like pink being for girls and blue being for boys is a construct, right? So to have this discussion, we have to be able to recognize that masculinity and femininity is both in some ways a construct and in some ways biologically ingrained and natural.
Yeah, like we had
And
this discussion like
Yeah, we
last week
did.
that like
Yeah.
sex is biological and gender is social. Like what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Or like last
yeah.
podcast, not last week.
I agree. Now, of course, if you're streaming on Twitch, there's going to be a lot of people raging that we're transphobic or whatever. But I don't really care about those people.
Yeah,
Whatever,
same.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a penis, you're a man. Well, if you have a woman,
You're
if you have a
you're
vagina, you're
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 a
you're
woman.
you're female.
Mm-hmm.
Like straight
I
up.
understand that there are exceptions to that rule. Like some people have messed up chromosomes and it can't be determined what they are. But these are
People
very
like
small
Patsy.
circumstances.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Um.
so basically, you're
Yeah.
saying, you know, the meaning of masculine and masculine or femininity, comes from both the society and both biology. Because are you saying
Yeah. Both. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Both.
merge of
Yeah,
both.
Yeah. Both.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Both. I wouldn't. I mean, let's talk about my Scottish ancestors. They wore skirts and kilts,
True.
right? Um. In the society them in now, that's just like I'm not going to walk around wearing a skirt or a kilt. It's just
It's just like
you know what
I
I'm
don't know if you
you know
know.
what I'm
It's just
saying?
like, do you know like Catholic priests as well? You know
TJ, turn
Catholic
on your
priests. You know
turn
back in
on
the
the
day,
camera.
like back in the day, they would wear like. Do you know what a cassock is? A cassock.
No.
It's like you can Google it, but it's like the whole. It's just like it's similar to like nowadays. It's not as popular anymore, but it's like yeah, back to it's just relation to what you're saying. It's kind of like yeah, nowadays like oh that's more feminine or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? Like yeah,
Yeah.
but a
Yeah.
cassock is like a
Yeah. Yeah.
long
I understand that.
long
Yeah.
robe that just goes. There's no trouser. There's no Anyways, that's what I want to
Yeah.
say.
I'm glad that you guys don't see things as black and white and you recognize the lines in between the lines. And I think a lot of
You have to
people
know the lines.
that are on a lot of people that are on the subject of this debate on what is masculinity and what is femininity, they are on either
You
or
know,
side,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
they are both looking at things black and white. If you ask a conservative what it is and you ask a far leftist what it is, they're both seeing things black and white. I prefer to look at things as a mixture.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's more complicated than people are
Yep.
making it out to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
I think this is a good place to just kind of like wrap up,
yeah.
Turn on
Yep.
your mic. I think this is a good
Eh,
place to just wrap up the podcast because we don't
quite
have
a
all day.
beautiful, yeah, quite a
Yeah,
beautiful,
we talked about a variety
I'm
of topics
glad
here, and
we
it's
have
really
our
good.
man here, Cyber Gorilla, coming in
Cyber
clutch,
Girl,
coming in freaking
shout out to
clutch.
Jordan.
Darknimbus.net.
Yeah,
Dark
Nimbus.
Nimbus.
That's
Nimbus.
.net.
NIMBIS,
Yeah,
right?
BUS.
And
Yeah,
no,
Nimbus.
NIMBUS. Dark
Oh,
Nimbus.
Nimbus.
Look
Okay,
it up, you'll
Nimbus.
find me. Dark
yeah.
Nimbus. Yeah,
Dark Nimbus on net.
I'm a nomadic entrepreneur.
Mhm.
I broke free from corporate America many years ago. I'm following life according to my own rules and my own path, and I'm always discovering and learning new things. And I'm open to talking and conversating with anybody. I have a very open mind.
Have you heard
And
of
if
the
someone
Discovery before?
the
The
discovery,
Discovery,
what
the
do you mean?
Discovery check. Have you heard of that before?
Don't mind him,
The
he's
Discovery
trolling.
Channel?
No,
He's
the
The
trolling.
Discovery check.
What?
But
It's a
yeah,
check like in chess. Don't worry, don't worry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
but you could you tell us, like,
Let me
your
throw.
degree? Did you like go to the university, like any form of, like,
Yeah. I did go to university. At first, I went to school for philosophy. Then I realized I didn't want to be a broke philosopher working at Starbucks.
That's me.
So, yeah. So I
Don't
changed
worry, you
my
soon be at
degree.
Starbucks, TJ.
Well, I decided that if I were going to achieve if I were going to achieve bringing forth my philosophical convictions to material reality, the best way to do it would be to pursue wealth.
Hmm.
Because wealth would give me the tool I need to have the time I need to pursue my philosophical convictions. And now I'm on a path to becoming the living embodiment of my philosophical convictions to prove that they work and they could provide people utility, and they're providing me utility. I'm not sure if they would provide other people utility, but I've developed my own unique philosophy and ideology that is a mixture of many, and really can't be compared to anybody else I've talked to and or read about. I also have an educational background in cybersecurity, which involves a whole
G
field of
boy.
things of technology, computer hacking, all kinds
G
of
boy.
things. And
Nice.
yeah,
Oh, wow, nice.
I've done a lot of stuff, man.
Good
You know,
stuff, man. Good stuff.
yeah.
Do you play Fortnite?
The what?
Do you play Fortnite?
No, I don't play video games. I think they're a waste of time. I actually stopped playing them mostly at the age of 16.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, but
Because
you
you're
play
a
games.
bot.
You play
I
games with women now. You play games with women now.
you have to play games with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're still playing
Listen,
games. You're still a gamer,
listen.
bro.
I'll tell you this. Men want to self-validate themselves. For example, okay, I was climbing an 8,000-foot mountain with a chick the last week. Okay, and I'm thinking to myself, why am I climbing this mountain? Not because I have something to prove to somebody else, because I want to prove to myself. And then I was thinking to myself while I was looking at this chick, I said, shit, I am self-validating myself by climbing mountains that I give myself, and this chick is playing games with me, giving me mountains to climb. And that's how she validates herself. By giving other people mountains to climb, right?
Yeah.
There's always a game with them, man. And there's an evolutionary psychological reason why they make you play these games. It's
Yeah.
not for nothing, right? There's a reason they put you through tests because they want to make sure that
Much.
the guy it's all a bunch of
Again, men are logical.
very calm.
You see, like with
Yes,
men like games, all this kind of like thinking and all this kind
yeah,
of things. Yeah.
yeah. But because women are emotional, she wants to see you climb that mountain that she creates for herself and put you through all this bullshit to determine whether or not you're the best man for her or whether you're telling the truth. See, I don't believe like, for example, some woman who's very insecure or has low self-esteem, she could say, well, I don't really believe that he loves me when he's saying this because other men have said it to me and they lied and they were unfaithful. So let's put this mountain in front of him to climb, and if he climbs it, I'll believe that his love is true. This is the kind of shit they do.
Yeah.
It's just what they do. It's just what they do.
That's level 9.
And,
Level
and,
9
and
stuff.
it's
It's
level
level up,
level 9, and all this
Diamond
shit
League.
has been and all this shit has
Yeah.
been further perpetuated and
Unreal.
reinforced by their Disney fairy tales, right? We
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
they want to be Disney princes. All of them. They all fucking want to be a Disney
Barbie. I'm a
princess.
Barbie girl.
Barbie,
I'm a
Barbie.
Barbie girl. I'm fucking Elsa from whatever that
Hey,
movie is. You know,
let it go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
let it
So
go, let it go, let it go. Right. So that whole
true
song,
though.
that whole song is perpetuating like a victimhood mentality for women. Do you realize that?
Really. Let
What
it
song?
go.
Yeah, and
Let it go.
if you read the lyrics of that song, it's like let it go because I'm a victim of this and woe is me. This is how women exist. They're damsels in distress. They want to be damsels in distress.
Yeah.
They want to be saved. That's really
That's why
their
Jesus
whole
came
mindset.
down
Yeah,
to
To
do
that's
save all
business.
these hosts from themselves. That's why he came
Do,
down.
do business. So
That's
only.
right. That's right.
all
That's right.
right. All right, man.
Wisdom. Let's see here.
Good talk, man.
But
Good
chat, it's
freaking
been
talk.
W's, man. The W's are around today.
Good freaking
Good
talk.
topic.
All right, man. All right.
Yeah.
Free top G.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Free talk, G. Free
Peace
talk,
out,
G,
G.
bro. Nice to have you, bro.
Free
Nice
top
to
G,
have you.
Have
bro.
a good one. See you in the
Free
next
top G.
pod,
Have a
bro.
good one,
All
bro.
right.
See you in the
Peace,
next pod.
peace.
Peace out.
Peace, homie. Holy. Chat, guys. Love Gators. Gators. Bro. TJ, where are you? Show
Yeah,
up,
man.
bro. Show up.
Yeah, quickly. Fortnite, guys. We're switching
This
to
is,
Fortnite.
yeah, we're going
Quickly.
over to the Funner Battle Royale, guys. If you guys
Quickly, yo.
enjoy
We're
this
not wasting
podcast,
time here.
click on this video here to watch it.
Holy.
No, actually, this is another video you might like, so go watch it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace and love, guys. Boom.
Peace out, guys. Yeah, that was a long one. What the heck?
That was a beautiful one, man.
I was just like, can we end this shit? Like,